Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming. What we doing? Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Hey, please don't play no games with me. I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart. We always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat a submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash in the distance ain't coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk like the show them. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling. They already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play the same. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous. Cause it can get dangerous.
All right, family. What's goody? What's goody? What's goody? What's goody with everybody in the space, man? Salute, 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 salute to all you guys, man. Let's do it one more game. One more game. Yeah, we back at it again. Great day yesterday calling these fights. These fights were there was some good fights yesterday, but I think in general there was some there was definitely a lot of fights as well, but there was some definitely good fights yesterday. But I think yesterday there was a big story. Right, there was definitely a big story. We got to talk about that, right? Yesterday, Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. get it in. We got to talk about that fight. The fights on the undercard were pretty decent as well. We got some life at 140 that we need to talk about tonight. Jack Catterall 2.0 showed up with Bozy Ennis. We got to talk about that as well, and of course, we got to talk about the future of boxing now that these fights have happened. What are these guys going to do? Where they're going to move to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And all those great conversations that we're going to be speaking on today, right? Shout out to everybody who's in the building. If you're in here, obviously, you know, first things first, hit that like button. Let's help the channel get to where it needs to get to. Replay gang, if that's when you're catching it, definitely hit the like button as well. But also subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. A lot to talk about, man. A lot to talk about. We'll get into it. You know, it is the day after. I was calling fights all day, felt like yesterday, you know. Rafael Espinosa. We got to talk about Top Rank on Tubi last night, right? Which was decent, right? Tubi was a good stream, right? It wasn't a bad stream. Everything seemed to be running pretty smoothly. But we'll talk about the fights on the card, obviously, right? Two specific fights. We're not going to get too deep into it and break down every fight, but we'll talk about the Emiliano Vargas fight, of course. And we will talk about the main event with Rafael Espinosa and Arnold Kagai in the main event. And we'll talk about the 126-pound division as well and what that looks like for the 126-pound division at this point, with Rafael Espinosa defending his title, 4 times at this point, right? Since he's beat Robeisy Ramirez. Outside of actually giving Robeisy Ramirez a rematch, he's actually defended the title 3 times. And we need to talk about that division. Champions in that division, unification, things of that nature, and see where we sit as a community, right? On the 126-pound division. Let's talk about the undercard a little bit. Well, let's shout out some of the people in the building, obviously. Shout out to Flexing and Stepping with the what up, Clay. What's good? Flexing and Stepping was good, man. In the building, lock in the building. Salute, salute. Saying he cashed out last night. Let me change this too. I don't know why this isn't just default to this. It is what it is, right? You just can't. You can't with these streaming apps, right? But says, what's up, family? I cashed out big with Conor Benn yesterday. That's what's up, man. You called it, man. And shout out to Angelo Reyes, and other people I know too who was looking for Conor Benn to win this fight. That fight was going to be a close fight. I thought Conor Benn could win the fight, but I called it wrong, man. I thought Chris Eubank's IQ, I thought the pedigree was going to stand out in this fight, and that we were going to see Chris Eubank, just step up his game, especially bringing Bomac into that camp. I thought that was going to be a big difference maker in that fight. I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute, of course, but congratulations to Conor Benn for sure, who definitely made a lot of adjustments in his camp. And you can't not acknowledge what Conor Benn also did, right? But I mean, so many different stories and obviously intangibles involved with that fight that we do need to talk about. Great event. When I understand, a packed out house, or 50, 60,000 plus people in the building in attendance. 50 Cent brought out Chris Eubank Jr. We'll talk about it all, right? What a great walkout with 50 Cent. I mean, that was just a great, one of the best walkouts in boxing I've seen in a long time. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about the fight. We'll dive deep into that. But I'm glad you made some money, Lock, for sure. Locking in those good bets yesterday. Good. I don't know what you saw, but that made you bet that way necessarily. I don't know if you just took a chance or if you saw these different moving parts to it, but it is what it is, right? So we'll talk about that as well, man. Shout out to my guy Boards Awards Vega. And what's good, Vega? What's good, man? Good to see you in the building, man. You made me smile and shit. You made me smile. I see Vega in the building. Salute, Vega, man. It says Boots Catterall. Why do you say Boots Catterall? Oh, I get it, Vega. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that for sure. Boots Catterall. I get it, Vega. Yeah, I'm slow, but I picked up on that, man. And that's actually, I love that Boots Catterall. You said that because we gotta talk about that when we talk about Jack Catterall today. Jack Catterall 2.0 is my new name for him now. Completely into the Bozy Ennis system of boxing. We saw Jack Catterall, and we got to talk about what he looked like, right? What did you guys think he looked like? I said, what did I think he looked like, right? He looked good on certain aspects of the game, but he also took a lot more damage, and I think I'm used to him seeing him take, and I'm wondering what that translates like into him fighting the bigger fights, right? Not 147 pounds. What does that translate into? Look, as a boxing fan, I think we can appreciate what Jack Catterall did yesterday, but we're going to talk about the landscape of 147 with Jack Catterall 2.0 and where we see Jack Catterall actually stepping into the game, man. It is what it is, man. Shout out to you, Boards Awards, Vega in the building. Mr. Big Play Bray says, good evening, boxing family. Salute, Mr. Big Play Bray. What's good with you, man? Against the ropes with Yancey with the eyes all out, man. Salute. What's good with you? What's good with you, man? Let me see if there's anybody I missed in here. Woo, how you doing, Queen? Good to see you in the building. Locke said, I felt like the first fight added fuel to the flame for Conor, and it took the last bit of fight out of 36-year-old Eubank. Maybe so, man. Maybe so, man. What's Vegas said? Vegas says everyone said they want to see Jack push it more, gets a brutal stoppage in his first fight with Bozy. Philly dog sparring, 100%. I agree, man. Yeah, everybody wants to see, you know what I mean? And I like that Philly dog name you're giving the approach to Bozy Ennis's style of training, right? It's very entertaining for a boxing fan to see fighters fight that way, right? But does that system really fall in place with all fighters, right? Is that for everybody? With Jack Catterall, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that was one of the first times, outside of Boozy, obviously, but Boots. I said Boozy. Outside of Boots, obviously, where I felt like it actually worked. Right. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Right. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Take a moment, hit the like button as you guys are stepping into the building. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. We can get into it. Right. Let me go here and move around here and play around with this here. Should we speak to the elephant or should we speak to the undercard first? Let's talk to the light work a little bit here. Right. Let me see here. Boom. Adam Azim puts 140 pounds on notice. Adam Azim fought Kurt Scobie last night. I know a lot of people were rooting for Kurt Scobie, with Coach Bermudez bringing his fighter to the big stage. to get an opportunity, right, to do something special at 140 pounds. And Adam Azim, the favorite, obviously, the favorite hometown fighter, you can say. Great fight these guys had in the ring yesterday. I mean, great fight for Adam Azim, right? Let's talk about Adam Azim and where he's at in Kurt Scobie. And now, where does Kurt Scobie go from here? A real swollen type of, like a Nick Ball, but like a muscle bound Nick Ball type of fighter. Wasn't able to get anything going for himself last night. I mean, literally, Adam Azim really exposed Kurt Scobie in so many different ways in that fight last night. It was kind of crazy, to be honest with you. I thought Kurt Scobie would have put more of a fight up. I'm not too sure what the strategy was going into that fight, but it ended up looking, you know what I'm saying? It ended up looking not good for Kurt Scobie and a little bit dirty at times, you know what I mean? As far as antics wise on making that, trying to make something happen in that fight. I don't know that I gave Kurt Scobie a round in that fight in real time. You know what I mean? I don't know that I did. Adam Azim pretty much just dominated him and just kind of showed that there's levels to this game. And more importantly, outside of doing that, probably made a good argument as far as where he should be looked at 140 pounds, that it might be time for Adam Azim to get those big fights, right? It might be time for Adam Azim to be in those conversations. I mean, he looked real good, kind of gave me like a Shiraz type of energy, just real accurate, great with his shot selection, great jab, worked behind that jab so well, putting the punches together, the combinations off the end of the jab. He just did a lot of great work last night. This just, off the top of the head, just remembering what I saw going into that fight. And I'm thinking to myself, you see Adam Azim perform the way he did, you start trying to match make him with some of the biggest fights in the division. And that right there let me know right there that this guy's a real legitimate contender, right? When you automatically go to Adam Azim and Teofimo Lopez, Adam Azim and Shakur Stevenson, maybe with Keyshawn Davis, maybe Gary Antoine Russell, Adam Azim and Richardson Hitchens. I don't know, man. Adam Azim, and you start going down the list and you're trying to figure it out. I don't have him winning all these fights, obviously, but just the fact that you can start to put him in that conversation lets you know that he's about ready to be in that conversation. And with Turki Al-Sheikh sitting outside the ring, watching that performance, and Adam Azim made it a point to get outside the ring and meet up with Turki Al-Sheikh and shake his hand. And I don't know what kind of conversation it was and what Eddie Hearn and those guys were talking about, but you got to believe that there's big plans in the future with Adam Azim at 140 pounds, with a financer like Turki Al-Sheikh behind you. Who knows what the possibilities are going to be, right? We see what Turki did with Hamza Shiraz, coming off of a horrible performance with Carlos Adames. He got right into another opportunity with Edgar Berlanga at 168 and did great with the opportunity. And now already is in conversations of being one of the next champions at 168 pounds, right? So I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Adam Azim. Great performance last night. I don't know. I'm hearing rumors that they're trying to potentially steer him into a direction to where he's on a collision course with Dalton Smith. Obviously, they're putting their eggs in the bag of Dalton Smith getting through Subriel Matias as he attempts to get a shot to be a champion, a WBC champion at 140. But after that, they're looking at throwing Adam Azim in that conversation. I know he's ranked pretty well. And I want to say the WBO and the IBF. Don't quote me. I think he's not that high, but I think he's like ranked 9 or 8 in those rankings. So he's right there in those divisions to make some fights happen. I mean, you got Jermaine Ortiz potentially still floating around, even though I've heard rumors of Jermaine Ortiz potentially entertaining 147-pound prospect, going into it with that kind of energy. I'm not too sure, but regardless, Adam Azim looks like he has a bright future. Looking forward to see what he's going to do and what they're going to move for him. What they're going to move with him at. Yeah, Flexing 7 says Azim look good out there for sure, man. Darius says Azim better than most, but he isn't ready to beat anyone at the top just yet. Yeah, I mean, look, man, do you throw him inside? Do you throw Adam Azim into a big title shot against Gary Antoine Russell or somebody like that? I mean, probably not, right? That's not what you want to do with him. Even though I wonder what he would do with Richardson Hitchens, right? I do wonder. I still lean towards Richardson Hitchens boxing pedigree and IQ just kind of like take over his experience. Maybe Adam Azim's not quite there yet, but like I said, just a mere fact that you would put him in that conversation and try to kind of figure it out and play X and O games with him to figure out where he would be at makes it makes it an interesting thing, right? We're all going to keep our eye on Adam Azim. Salute to Ryan Frazier in the building. What's good, Ryan? Salute Cleo World. What's good, Queen? What's good? What's good? What's good? So we'll be keeping our eye on Adam Azim and seeing exactly what direction they're gonna attempt to move with him on. Let's get into the next fight on the card. Let's get into Jack Catterall, right? Let's talk about Jack Catterall. Let's jump into Jack Catterall 2.0 stopping Echo Usman last night. Echo Usman, a great dance partner for Jack Catterall, right? The way he brought the pressure all night long really tested Jack Catterall and kind of was almost a great litmus test for Jack Catterall at 147. Jack Catterall's last fight at 147 against Harlem Eubanks, it was just a horrible fight, right? And you put a lot of that on the back of Harlem Eubanks, who just refused to engage in that fight, really made it an ugly fight. But at the end of the day, he had an opportunity. Now we know that he's inside of Bozy Ennis's camp, and just one camp. We weren't looking for nothing crazy to come out. I mean, how much can you really change a fighter inside of 3 months? But still, regardless, Bozy gets an opportunity to leave the country, and the first time in the UK with a fighter like Jack Catterall, who's built himself a good reputation, he has a good fan base in the UK fan base, but a fighter who seems to be missing just that intangibles for him to kind of cross over into becoming a champion. Arguably, Jack Catterall should already have been at least a unified champion, if not an undisputed champion, on a bad decision call between him and Josh Taylor, right? Now, he avenged that fight, but that wasn't quite the same Josh Taylor, and it seems like championships at 135 pounds or 140 pounds, I'm sorry, seem to slide past him, right? He missed his opportunity there and decided to go up in weight. This after losing against Arnold Barbosa Jr., for an interim version or some version of a WBO title that Arnold, well, actually wasn't for a title, right? I think Arnold Barbosa literally had vacated the interim title for that fight. Don't quote me, just trying to remember. But regardless, Arnold Barbosa took a close split decision from Jack Catterall, and ultimately we saw Jack Catterall take a shot at 147 with Harlem Eubanks, and this one right here, after that fight with Harlem Eubanks, deciding to go ahead and make some changes to his camp and brought in Bozy Ennis. Guys, we know Bozy, right? We don't need to talk about Bozy like we don't know who he is, right? But I mean, if you do need a memory recap, this is John Boots Ennis' father and trainer, right? Also trainer of Andy Cruz, trainer of Cool Boy Stephen Fulton, right? Or Scooter, right? So we know the cloth he's cut from and what he's produced as far as fighters. He's a tried true trainer when it comes to that. But how was this whole entire clash of styles with Jack Catterall's boxing and kind of hit not get hit style cross over with a Bozy Ennis, who, like my brother Vegas said earlier in here, has a Philly dog style, right? And how was Jack Catterall going to take it? Jack Catterall, a great aptitude for boxing, right? Just mentally on a cerebral level, you can see that he has a mind, a boxing mind, and that's a good thing, right? When Bozy Ennis or trainers are trying to bring in these new systems, that these guys can adapt them either really quick based on their ability to process and metabolize all the new information, or it takes a little while because maybe they're a little bit more hands-on, right? Instead of like cerebral. So we wanted to see what Jack Catterall was going to do, and I think Echo Usman was already going to be a great challenger one way or another. But I think in this particular conversation, Echo Usman checked the boxes as far as, let's see who Jack Catterall is going to be at 147 pounds, right? And let's see how Bozy Ennis and Jack Catterall are going to gel together. They're two ways of looking at boxing come together and produce something that we can see in the near future becoming a champion at 147. Great fight. I mean, Jack Catterall still being a slick fighter, but I think one thing we're going to notice and speak on as far as the elephant in the room is concerned is Jack Catterall was sitting on his punches, right? He was sitting on his punches a lot more in this fight. You saw him really pushing the pace and pushing the energy and looking for the stoppage, you could say at times, right? He just wasn't running from the smoke. Echo Usman, nicknamed the Engine, lived up to his name, right? Stayed active, stayed in the face of Jack Catterall all night, pushing and pressing him. Wasn't able to kind of get really anything really going as Jack Catterall was able. I would say Echo Usman's jab was he his jab was consistent, right? And I think that brought a lot of pressure to Jack Catterall, and Jack Catterall got hit a lot more in this fight than I think he's normally used to getting hit. But regardless, I think more importantly, Jack Catterall was able to really translate that whole entire training camp into a lot of damage on Echo Usman. I mean, he really battered him at points in that fight. Echo stayed in the fight because he has that engine, he has that will, he has that heart. It's who he is. But Jack Catterall really looked good in that fight when it comes to that. Now, on the other hand, what comes with Bozy Ennis' style of boxing, and this is something that I've spoken on already a couple of different times, and questioned as far as Bozy Ennis' system working for everybody. You know, Jack Catterall, Andy Cruz, or even Stephen Fulton, right? I mean, clearly it works for both for Jerron Boots Ennis. I mean, but he was created and born in the system, kind of like Benn, right? He was born in the dark, like he's of the dark. You know what I mean? He came up 5-6 years old in these gyms working with his father. So, you know, naturally, he's a perfect example of what it looks like when Bozy Ennis' system is working the right way. But with the new fighters, we got to see how they're going to weather it, right? I question still how that's going to look with Andy Cruz, if that's going to work out well with him. We'll get a great test as Andy Cruz is getting ready to fight for his first title against Raymond Moratala in the coming future. But as far as Jack Catterall is concerned, it's translating well. But like I said, with that style comes an opportunity as well to get hit. Now, you don't want to get hit clean, but with Bozy Ennis' system, I think getting hit is part of it, right? It's not so much hit and not get hit. It's about keeping your position, sitting on your punches, and stopping people, right? Getting in that position to stop people. And Jack Catterall did a good job last night. He stops Echo Usman. We just got to see what he does next. I think there's conversations floating in the space for Jack Catterall to get in the conversation of the winner between Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney. I don't think that's probably going to be the next fight personally, but maybe it will be. But if not that, we'll see where he goes, right? Clearly, Eddie Hearn has a plan and wants to push him into becoming a champion as soon as possible. He wants that redemption from 140. He wants to see him become a champion and get what he was supposed to get at 140. So looking forward to see Jack Catterall in some big conversations. Oh, there he is. I got one of my guys in the back right now. Un momento. Let's go here. Let me see. Boom. Let's see. Boom. And then boom. And then boom. And then boom. Salute to my guy. Magic in the building, you know what I'm saying? With the prediction last night, called it knockdowns and everything, bro. Knockdowns and everything, Angelo. Bro. We don't talk about it.
I'm just saying, I know a little bit, man. And shout out to you and shout out for keeping it strong on 2 events yesterday. You did that and you did the 2B event and gave it to the people. So you're always here at ATP Combat Media, giving it to the people, giving them good commentary instead of the biased commentary that oftentimes comes out.
I didn't even get to hear the commentary, right? Okay. I didn't even get to hear the commentary, so I hope it was good. I tried to give it right, but hold on, let me give myself a little pat on the back. Shows I didn't run. I ran for like damn near 7 hours yesterday.
Yeah, you did, man. You really did. You did 2 different events, both really long. I saw Blue Blood was with you for a little bit on the daytime one, but yeah, man, it's not easy, but that's the way. It's the way to do it, and the people are asking for it. So keep it up, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
First event, I want to say that it's just sometimes I'm right, dude. Sometimes I'm right more often than not.
Man, you know, somebody got to win, somebody got to lose. There's 2 fighters in the ring, so you give your best bet. We're gonna talk about it though, because although the win was there and Conor Benn, you know, it's one of those situations we're going to talk about it tonight where it's like you don't want to take anything away from Conor Benn, but you know, there's also, you know, some really brazen intangibles that were part of this fight right here, and we're going to talk about it all. But what you think about Jack Catterall though, 2.0, man?
Yeah, no. I was going to say I've been paying attention to Jack Catterall for a while. Like I told you guys on the show earlier this week, he should have gotten to win when Josh Taylor had all those belts. You know, he didn't. Now he's finally moving. You know, he's 32 now, but he's finally going to get a shot at going for a world title. I thought that Echo Usman, who at one point was number 1, with the WBO until they did that whole Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying, man? They like jumped Devin Haney or whatever.
Yeah.
So Usman was the real challenge. And for Catterall to show two things. One, the jump up in weight didn't necessarily affect them, especially power-wise, right? Because isn't that what we always wonder when somebody, does something in the lower weight division, can that person carry it in the higher weight division? And it wasn't like Jack Catterall was some major power puncher anyways. He only had 13 knockouts up to that point. But his technique, to me, it not only did it look more refined, like if you watch his previous fights, it seemed like he was a little wild. In this one, when he was throwing like the 1-2s, there was a missile purpose to each one that he's throwing, right? So I felt like Bozy really drilled that. Part of the problem too, though, Clay, and I don't know if you noticed this, is when you have a new trainer and you're going into the first fight with that new trainer, there's parts of your brain that's like still trying to kind of like, because you haven't had that trainer talk to you for months and months and months, or several fights. This is your first fight. So I could tell Catterall was still kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of understand. Oh, okay, let me try that now. So there was some adjustments happening between him and Bozy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's a difference between that fighter who you work from the ground up, you know what I mean, and just kind of like, you work from amateurs at least. And, when you think about Boots working with his father since 7, you can see how that looks like inside the ring. They kind of can almost communicate each other sometimes just by a look. Bozy can just look at him and go, all right now. And Boots can, they just got that relationship. And, when you're dealing with a fighter like a Jack Catterall or even an Andy Cruz, a fighter who have kind of developed an identity about who they are, and they've kind of become confident in who they are, and now they're being introduced to this brand new system, is going to be the left brain and the right side of the brain kind of battling at times in the ring. And that within itself is a fight, right? You got the fight with the fighter in the ring, and then you got the fight with the habits.
Yeah, yes.
And what you know to do versus what you're being told to do now.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Sure.
And then I think that if you really, for anyone who really wants to study this and put it on a microscope, look at round 6 to 12. And what you see there is, and I say that because Echo Usman has always been a great back half fighter.
Right.
So he always does just okay.
Engine, I think is his nickname, right? They call him the Engine.
But the back half is when he does his best. So you're seeing the best of Echo Usman in the round 6 through 12. And then you're seeing Jack Catterall really get used to rhythm, flow, getting you with Bozy style. Also understanding that when you get that cut and you start bleeding, you don't have to go like balls wild. There's a way to still be able to keep your composure and box. And I thought that was really telling, because really the battle on that is you had Echo Usman's right eye damn near closed. And then when Jack Catterall started bleeding on his right eye, he couldn't really see out of it. So that really upped it. And you were like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And then for him to obviously get that beautiful combination, get the right in, was setting up that back, that slide back uppercut, bro. And then to knock him out of the ring, man. I mean, I'm just saying, like, those are highlights, right? So if we're talking about you're now gonna, move this fighter up to a certain division, props to you, Eddie Hearn, bro. I hope you hear this, because you are about to own the entire 147 division. If you get Catterall to fight Mario Barrios or Rolly, or you just keep Catterall floating, and then Lewis Crocker is your fighter, and he has the IBF. Barrios fights Connor Benn because you guys somehow overpay Barrios enough to not say no. Connor Benn owns the WBC, and then you're forcing Giasov to fight Rolly. Giasov's probably going to beat Rolly. That means Matchroom has all 4 belts, bro.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. There's a lot of things that, and 147 seems like it's going, it's going through the it's definitely evolving into something at this point. The division has been kind of sleepy ever since Terrence Crawford has left the division, kind of looking for that identity. And, Brian Norman Jr., doing what he's doing, God bless him, and what he's done as a champion at 147 pounds. But, it seems like Mario Barrios has definitely been floating on this island out there, kind of holding up at times what's going on in the division. And then you got your Lewis Crocker's there, and you got your who's the other? And then you got Rolly there, who's a character with his own character within himself. He's improved a lot at 147 as well, by the way. I think we should give Rolly his respect to say that he's looked about his, he's looking pretty good at 147 against Ryan Garcia. We don't got nothing else to reference. That's all we have. But he looks so much better and looks like the weight, putting on the weight was a good thing for him, right? He just looks like he's wearing it well. And we'll be more interested in seeing what he does next to see who he's going to be. But against Giasov, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle.
Yes.
We'll see what he does. But the division is starting to getting a good identity with Devin Haney joining it, with Ryan Garcia joining it.
Brian Norman.
Brian Norman. And, probably Richardson Hitchens is probably going to make his way up there pretty soon too as well. The division does seem to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Jack Catterall did good last night. Definitely. What did you think about the knockdown that wasn't counted as a knockdown? And the reason I'm asking you about that is because it's not about whether it was called right or not. That's not what it was about. The question is, well, I guess it is about that, right? But the question is, would Echo Usman have benefited way more by getting an 8 count on that one to recover? Did he really get more hurt on that? You know what I'm saying? On that knockdown than it showed, and him not getting the 8 count, he just was kind of out on his legs, and Jack was able to just come across the ring and really finish him. You think it hurt him to not get the 8 count?
I mean, I don't know, man. To me, first off, it felt like it was a bang bang play for the referee, right? Mm-hmm. Everything was happening way too fast for it to, it wasn't like when Floyd and Victor Ortiz hugged. Right. And then it was deliberate that it was like when the break happens, then you hit him. That one was in the middle of action. So I'd have to really rewatch it to see exactly how many half a second it took for the referee to say stop and the punch to hit him. And it might have even been at the same time.
I'm not saying,
I don't know.
I'm not saying as far as wrong or right or whether or not.
Right. No, I understand. And then the second,
I'm talking about the effect of the knockdown.
Right now, the second part
knockdown, in your opinion, yes or no? Like, do you feel like he got hurt in that knockdown?
I mean, again, in the flow of a fight with Echo Usman reacting the way he did, if his mental was there to say to himself, "All right, I'm on the ground anyways," it clearly maybe or maybe not it's a foul. Echo Usman himself could have taken some time, but he didn't. He got up. And if you watch, he wanted to engage. So if you look at it,
instinct for sure, that's his instinct. That's what he's going to do.
So,
like creatures of habits. But I think
right. But that's what I mean though. Was he hurt because of that particular thing? Because if you watch the punches, it wasn't like devastating. To me, it didn't feel that devastating. And if you and again, not right or wrong, but if it, let's say, was sort of after or an undefended punch, it didn't look like that gave any more of an effect than he was getting beat up pretty bad. Like he was taking a lot of punches, especially
he was being battered.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's what I mean is the accumulation part of it. Yeah. I couldn't say, oh, well, if he would have taken an, I guess in theory, we could sit there and try to act like, okay, Clay, sure. If the referee would have given him an 8 count, then maybe it would have given him a little bit more energy. Right. But then what, dude? Then what? Then
well, no, he was gonna lose the fight. Jack was the better fighter in the fight, but I think that moment right there was significant into him getting, flopped out the ring that way, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I think, you know what I'm saying? I just think he was he didn't get a chance enough to recover. And not to say that something was taken from him, because I'm sure he would have protested the knockdown, right? If you would have gave him the 8 count, he'd be like, yo, he hit me after, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
But at the end of the day, just to speak on it, like in spite of right or wrong, that was like a nice appetizer to what was coming afterwards, right? Because the reality is that he laid flat out on his back.
Yeah,
when he got hit, right?
It was bad.
Whenever you see a fighter lay, it would be different if he sat on his pockets, but to lay on your back shows like that kind of shows the impact of the exchange right there. I mean, it is what it is, right? Not that it was a big deal, but I thought it was a part of the fight that I thought was funny to me, because it was like, yeah, bro, you probably should have just took that 8 count. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
probably would have benefited you a little bit. You would have gotten knocked out probably still, or maybe you would have made it to the end. But you know, that was crazy, man. You are a meme now, man. You rolled out the ring looking all crazy. They had to pull you back in the ring and get you together.
Right.
They didn't even count. They just waved it off like, you know what I mean? Get him help. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is what it is. But Jack Catterall deserves all the credit and delivers a battering a battering showcase out against a very formidable opponent in Echo Usman, right?
Absolutely.
Not a step up, not a step up, not
at all.
This is a real legitimate guy.
And we've talked about this before, Clay. Like I said, when I also correctly predicted that Kurt Scobie would get hurt the way he got hurt. Remember, I said Adam Azim is no joke. They're starting to push him as the kind of like a Nassim Hamed type. And I was saying that again, and I've repeated it on ATP Combat Media several times throughout the last few months. There's a difference between how UK fighters are moved versus how American fighters are moved, right? And Kurt Scobie, though he had more fights, it's kind of like, but yeah, man, we just watched your last fight in New York at 147 pounds, and that's who you were fighting? Because if you looked at Adam Azim, say what you want, but he was fighting a former world champion in Lipinets, dude. That was his last fight, right? And Adam Azim's 23 years old. Kurt Scobie, I think, is already 30, right? So if anything, this is one of those where I think even when you were doing the live chat, I was messaging and I was saying, I feel like Hector Bermudez is trying to tell Kurt Scobie things that it's just not coming in. Maybe it's just not Kurt Scobie's.
He just couldn't do, right? Like Kurt Scobie made up in his mind. I think that's where Coach Bermudez was trying to like really, and I'm so interested in speaking to him on the hangout. The next time I see him up there, I want to ask him about this.
If you want, we could set him up for ATP Combat Media, man, and you could just ask him. You know, we could do that.
Maybe, you know, but I'm definitely interested in, you know, the idea of Kurt Scobie buying into the game plan, right? Like, a fighter you put a good game plan together for a fighter because you've done the studying on the videos and the tape studies and you got an idea and a strategy how you want this fighter to approach this fight to give him his best chance of winning. But if the fighter doesn't really buy into it and he's hesitating to buy into it, then how do you deal with that, right? How do you deal with understanding like this guy's just not going to pull the trigger? He's not going to move forward with the game plan. So what do we do at this point? Because Kurt Scobie seemed to be frozen, working on that way too far on the outside. I mean, and when he was coming on the inside, he was doing these leaping hooks that would just his feet would damn near leave the ground at times. And how much control do you have when you're in midair? And Adam Azim, I appreciate your perspective because we said the same thing for Hamza Shiraz and Edgar Berlanga, right? Just to say that these fighters are just developed in a different way. And Adam Azim was just very confident, very disciplined, very poised.
Even the punches that Adam Azim took, Clay, did you notice how he took them well from Kurt Scobie?
Oh, yeah,
because he's been trained to do it.
Machine, you know what I'm saying? And he executed his technique on with his jab straight, just like school worthy, right? Like you want to learn how to jab. Look how this man is jabbing and level changing and his footwork. He just made Scobie look like a fighter who did not belong. You know, one of those fights where Scobie just looked like he didn't belong in the ring with a fighter of the caliber of Adam Azim. That being said, a litmus test for Adam Azim to announce himself at 140 pounds. How do you feel about that?
I mean, you know, I know that Ben Shalom at Boxer, they're going to move Adam Azim a certain way. They have the BBC contract where it's literally like CBS. It's like national free television all across the UK. So I'm sure Adam Azim will end up probably fighting there a few times.
So he's with Boxer?
Oh yeah. He's one of Ben Shalom. He's one of the people that did not leave.
He might have been with Eddie Hearn. Okay.
No. Eddie Hearn took Ben Whitaker, but Boxer still got Carolina Dubois and Adam Azim and all these different guys in their group. And again, they're as a promotional group, what they can offer is, hey man, we can make you like super popular because you're going to be on free BBC television, which is like saying Monday Night Football games. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that I think
BBC is got a diabolical name for American boxing media. I think
It's
I
the
don't know,
British
but
boxing channel,
I
y'all.
know, but I
That's
just think
what
their
it
name is as much. I'm trying to be mature right now, and I'm not. I don't want to be distracting, but that name is diabolical, brother. It just is what it is, right?
It's
We just
I'll
full
just start
program is
referring
mission
to it
over
as the
here.
British boxing channel.
I've got a hard time just sitting here, and I think the BBC is just.
Look, Clay, we know you like the BBC.
Nah, I hate the BBC, bro. I don't want nothing to do with the BBC, bro. Only BBC I'm concerned with is my BBC, bro. I don't, you know what I mean? And I don't talk about my BBC or no, you know what I mean? I don't rock with the BBC like that, bro. They need to do something with that damn name, bro. They need to do something with that damn name, bro. They want me to talk. You want me to talk about you? You might want to revisit that damn, name, bro. But I'm gonna have to. I literally feel like it might be better to just say their whole name every time.
Right, the British. I'll make sure I say the British boxing channel, man.
It's hard.
But it is one of the most popular channels outside of the U.S. Definitely across the Atlantic. And to be on that, to be showcased on it, I mean, Fraser Clark and I think TKV is about to be on it. Carolyn Dubois, they're trying to set one up on there too. So it does make you super popular. So unless Turkey Al Sheikh gets involved with Adam Azim as a Riyadh season ambassador or something, you're probably going to see Adam Azim. You know, the next move is either defend that current belt or, you know, do another move. If he really wants to step it up, then I can make an argument to say, well, he's 23, and even though he's now 14 wins, I think, with 11 knockouts, you could. I mean, he could be a voluntary title. Although, I mean, you know, pick your poison, Clay. You just watched Lindolfo Delgado. I think he won, right? A split decision. A split decision,
in my opinion.
Okay, so you thought he lost, right?
Facts.
Okay, so if Top Rank's willing to do something like that, because Lindolfo Delgado is still 23-0, ranked in the top 3, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and Ben Shalom wants to take that chance. What do you think of that? Like, since you just saw both of them, how do you think that fight would go? Who would you pick?
I'm gonna go with Adam Azim. I think. Listen, man. I think Delgado is a one-trick pony, man. I just think he doesn't have enough dimensions to his game, and I think he's been exposed in his last couple of fights. To be honest with you, not just this one. He's a great dance partner. That's who Delgado is to me, and I've spoken about it before, but I'm into like contenders, champions, and then you got dance partners that help the division move forward, and that's what Delgado is to me, right? He's somebody who you put him in the ring and you know he's going to be a litmus test for anybody at 140 pounds, right? Because he's just what he's going to bring, you either going to be good enough to show that you deserve to be in a different kind of conversation, or he's going to humble you and give you a reality check about where you really are in your boxing career. And I think Adam Azim may be in the position to where might be what's needed for him next, is that kind of a fight. If it's going to be him, I don't know. But look, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Delgado that was an IBF eliminator fight. So it's Delgado's probably not going to be in that conversation. He wants Hitchens next. He wants that IBF title. He wants to become a champion. He's probably not looking back at Adam Azim, unless like you said, if it's a big enough bag of money, who knows?
Well, listen, that's fine, because again, if you're paying attention to global boxing and you're not just like caught up in what the American media is willing to tell you, but you actually do your own homework and you really are a fan of the actual sport, then you would know that there's been a long-term, probably the last 18 months at least, rivalry brewing between Dalton Smith and his side of town and Adam Azim in his side of town. Right. And there's always been this narrative, even earlier this year, in where Matchroom was saying they want to offer it to Adam Azim, but his team doesn't want it. So there's already a duck narrative. And now you got Dalton Smith fighting Subriel Matias. So let's say Dalton Smith wins and he's now the WBC champion. Bro, do you know how big a fight between Adam Azim and Dalton Smith for his first title defense would be if they put that in the UK? Bro, they can headline that. And if that's and especially if money is involved, but then you show it on the British boxing channel, everyone, right? Okay. If you show it on that, where now that's what I was trying to tell you, is that's what we need to see. We need to see Virgil Ortiz or a Jaron Boots Ennis or both on a channel like that. a CBS, a Fox, where it's just free and accessible to everyone, so they know who they are. Well, guess what, Clay? In the UK, everybody knows who Dalton Smith is. And in the UK, everybody knows who Adam Azim is. And they have their own, fan following. So you put that two together, man. That's what I was saying. I don't think he needs a litmus test necessarily. He could go right to Dalton Smith, man, because they've been trying to put that together anyways.
I think Dalton would be a litmus test for him as well, because in all
But he would be the champ, though. He would be
still a litmus test for me, because Dalton Smith is great of a fighter. He first of all, from my point of view, when you're talking about the champions in the division right now, I think there's just a big difference between, let's say, Gary Antoine Russell, right?
Yes.
And a Dalton Smith, right? Or even a Teofimo Lopez and a Dalton Smith. Dalton Smith is I just think there is. I think, those are the litmus tests for Dalton Smith, right?
True.
As a champion to fight against those guys, kind of once he gets victories over one of those guys, that's when he becomes like the truth. That's when he becomes a true world champion to a certain degree, right? And that's the whole thing with the ring belt, right? When you have all these different champions, all champions aren't in the same conversation per se all the time.
I agree.
Like Mario Barrios is not, in my opinion, in the same conversation as Brian Norman Jr., right?
No, not even close.
But he's a champion, right?
Yeah.
So now, if Mario Barrios were to beat Brian Norman Jr., I think everybody would be like, "Oh shit, Mario
that would be the shocker."
It'd be a litmus test. I didn't know. Maybe he needs to fight the hardest fights in boxing in order for him to bring out his game, right?
Right.
So Dalton Smith though would be a great champion. He's a great fighter, but I think that where Adam Azim is teetering on is overall 140-pound talent, future 147 talent, right? He gives me the same feeling I get when I see Hamza Shiraz fight. Okay. That's how I feel about Hamza. I think Hamza Shiraz is beyond domestic. He's world level to me, and I think he gives everybody the smoke. I thought he would have ran a good fight with Canelo. I don't know if he would have won, but I think it would have been he might have won. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I put him on that conversation. And I think Adam is almost there, but he's, like you said, he's young. He's young and he has time, and he doesn't need to be where he doesn't need to be. But I think at this point, legitimate contender, I think that Dalton Smith fight is a fight that I think Eddie Hearn has in his mind that he'd like to see come together. I think Turki Al-Sheikh, maybe more importantly, not Eddie Hearn, sorry.
But Ben Shalom.
I thought it was Eddie Hearn the whole time.
Yeah,
but I think more importantly,
but Eddie Hearn would be involved if it's a Dalton Smith.
Right. And I think that Turki Al-Sheikh would be interested in it too. I think that's a fight he would be interested in being interested in getting behind and seeing to make it. Hold on 1 second. Let me bring up. I see Ray Davis in the back actually right now. Hold on. He just popped up. Ray,
there's my man. There's my man right there.
Salute Ray Davis.
Hey, hold on, Ray.
Give me my apologies like I gave you yours.
Yeah. Well, first of all right. Ray, when I say who's the master, you say
well, listen, we're gonna talk about that fight.
No.
Because although you called it, we're gonna talk about it. Although you called it, we're gonna talk about it, right? Because you definitely did call it. And I'm wondering, did you take that into consideration when you were making your call?
I did.
As far as Chris Eubank's ability to even compete in the weight class anymore.
I did.
And that being said, on the back end of that, we're gonna celebrate Conor Benn because I don't want to take anything away from him.
Stop hating on my man.
Nah, but we got to keep it real. We can't have our cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? If he fought a shell of a man in that ring, and listen, I don't want to get into it because we're gonna get distracted. I want to
right. Let's stay on topic. We didn't even bring up Sam Gilly versus Ishmael Davis yet, and that was a great fight, right?
I didn't see that.
Oh, Ray, what did you think of that fight?
Hold on. You owe me something. You said you're the master. You told me I was gonna get eliminated this week. I'm gonna get chopped.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, we're talking about the.
Okay, now we good. Who is the master? Yeah, exactly. Who is the master?
For whatever reason, man, Ray's team. There's always someone who I'm like, how the fuck did that guy get this many points? And that happened to him. He had one player that just went off, and I'm like, well, Ray's gonna survive to the Magnificent Seven. The final seven now.
Seven.
He went from relatively not really caring that much to now possibly being the champion of this league, which is crazy.
Go figure, Clay.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, he was
crazy. I had a
kicking me
feeling he
out.
was
He
gonna.
was
I ain't
kicking
gonna
me
lie
out.
though. I had a feeling Ray was gonna do well in that fantasy football jump off because I know he knows his football good and he's good on the numbers at crunching numbers. So if he's picking, I just had a feeling Ray was
I
going to
had
end
to
up
move some
causing
people
some
around
issues.
this week.
Right.
Quiet is kept. I had a feeling. I'm like, that's probably gonna. We'll see. Maybe I'm not, I
Yeah.
ain't gonna say. I was like, well, I have a feeling he's gonna actually do that pretty easily, just because of the way he does with the information, right? But okay, so moving along. What did you think about Adam Azine? By the way, did you see him fight last night?
Yeah, man. Listen, he shocked me. Like I
Ooh.
knew what kind of fighter he was, but I thought with Kurt Scobie moving up, you know what I mean, and getting a bad fight because he moved up. Maybe he's just getting acclimated. You know what I mean, coming from 135 to 140 would have been, you know what I mean, that was the adjustment. But I thought he was just so much more skilled, and he was like he fought like he was from Tijuana, bro. I'm not being disrespectful, but he had his high guard and just one stroke at a time, bro. Like I'm like, yo, is he even fighting? And it's so crazy.
Yo, shout out to Fight Word Bangs. He said he was a whole Scooby snack. He wasn't chips. He was a Scooby snack.
Bro,
You know what I'm saying?
my fellow Jerseyan just do. I think he was fanboying.
Mhm.
He threw him in the trash, bro. He's like, yo, I hope your name Kurt. I hope your name Kurt don't start with a K like mine. It better start with his C. Like, yo, he was heated. I said, yo, he must have hit the part. He must have played the parlay, and Kurt Scobie messed it up because he was heated with homie, bro.
Yeah, listen, man. I mean, I don't know what vested interest he had in it. You know, I mean, you never know nowadays, but I do think Scobie. We expected him to be more of a challenge for Adam Azine.
I did.
Wait. I didn't. I did not.
Right. You didn't expect it, but you expected him to do. But at the end of the day, he just really didn't put a good foot forward. Like it's one thing when a fighter gets into a fight and he just tries his best, but he's just not able to. But he just seemed to mentally tap out of the fight, and he started to get a little dirty with some of his tactics.
Yeah, a lot of headbutting, a lot of arm grabbing, and
it was like, so usually that's a sign of a lot of frustration, right? When a fighter does that. We remember Edgar Berlanga doing things of that nature. So it just, it is what it is, though. So you don't want to take away from Adam Azine because sometimes when you criticize a fighter so much, it starts to look like, something that we don't want it to look like. But Scobie definitely,
he looked
a horrible performance by him.
I would never.
Oh, go ahead.
I would never root for that guy again. I ain't trying to be fun. I'm not fanning, but I'm just like, yo, I literally gave you the opportunity because I was like, yo, this is it. I mean, you got a young guy coming in. Yes, he's undefeated, but I think you got.
He only had 13 fights.
I know. I was like, you got enough power in this young guy to get him off guard, catch him with something, do something, a little veteran move. You know what I mean? Nothing. He had nothing.
I shocked he wasn't jumping in there and pushing him back. First of all, push him back, attack that body. I mean, attack that body. Beat body up, man. Make that a big punching bag. Like, get in there, fight dirty, punch the body, take the air out of his legs, close that distance, make him fight a close range fight. I mean, not a lot of power. I think if you would work that body well enough in the later rounds in that fight, that it would maybe possibly opened up some opportunities to hit some big overhand rights and, you know what I'm saying? Some big shit that you would have been able to get together if you would have invested accordingly in the early rounds. And he just didn't, right? He just
I got to tip my hat to Adam Azine. Listen, man. And Angelo. Because
Angelo called it. I mean, I felt Adam Azine was going to win the fight. You know what I mean? But I thought it was going to be a good test for Adam Azine.
I had a feeling. You know what I mean? I was just on the roll though. Remember that last card he pulled up all the fighters?
Yeah,
two cards, and I was like, "Yo, this guy gonna win." I nailed every single one.
Right? No, you were good. You were good, Ray. It's just, you know what it is too, Ray. Is as you guys know, I watch a ton of the UK. I've been watching so much of the UK people for so many years. And you see him coming up, right? But I also just watched Scobie on that weak little weird
that's
147, and I was like,
that's
bro,
what
you're not ready, man.
I didn't see Scobie fight recently, and I thought coming in there with Coach Bermudez, I just thought I just kind of gave him a lot of credit because I gave Coach Bermudez so much respect. I just expected a different
Sure.
product out of
Well,
what Coach Bermudez does than what Kurt Scobie presented.
You know, he reminded me of Primetime, man. I was like, yo, he just got out of his element, and he just remember when you know, I mean, I still think he's fighting.
You talking about Prime Time or Sean? You talking about
Chris
Porter?
Colbert.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris Colbert. Yeah. So,
Colbert.
He's
Okay,
still gonna fight. Listen, he's still fighting Tank next. Don't worry about it.
keep on talking. Keep on bullshit. Keeping that bullshit. Yeah,
Gotta throw it out there.
I
It's
ain't
been a
never
year.
gonna laugh at that shit. That shit right there is horrible.
It's been
If I
a
see that
year
fight.
since I said that, so you know that was well.
You know why that upsets me every time he brings that up? Because we could fuck around and see that for real, and I don't even want to play with it. You feel me? Fucking with Tank, messing with Tank, we mess around and see that fight. So every time he says that, I'm like, yo, stop talking that into fruition, bro, because you might make somebody over there in that camp catch a light bulb over their head, right? Like, what?
Yo, he need a knockout, bro. He need a
you
knockout.
know what? That might be the one. Think about the pressure.
That'll be in Zuffa Boxing, Ray. It'll be in Zuffa Boxing.
It is what it is, right? But let me ask a question, man. Let's continue moving forward a little bit on this topic, though. So at 140 pounds, Adam Azim looks sharp. He, like I told me and Reyes was talking earlier, Hamza Shiraz, 140 pounds, right? 140 pound Hamza Shiraz, just very disciplined, stands behind his fundamentals, poised, because Scobie did everything he could try to do to distract this dude in a press conference with all the antics and all that. I'm going to get to you. You know what this is? And all that stuff that Scobie was doing, which made his performance look that much worse.
Yep.
Right. He was talking like that overseas. It's not like you're home. I don't know what you thought you were doing, but regardless, Adam Azim showed his ability to persevere through all the distractions, right? He wasn't going to, none of that phase him. He knew what he was going to do. How do you feel about Adam Azim at 140 pounds moving forward? Like, what do you feel about him?
Whew. Man, do I have to say it? Amir Khan.
Oh, okay.
But that's good and bad, though. That's good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, because Amir Khan was hot.
Good.
Yeah.
Amir Khan at 140, that's a good thing. That's a compliment.
Yes. That's exactly what I see.
Right, because I think Amir started getting weird at like towards
you know what? Let me pull back though, Ray. I would say he's Amir Khan with a good chin, because he took a couple of shots from Scobie. And
Amir Khan at 140 was a beast.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he didn't really. He got knocked out by Brettis Prescott though at 140. So, you know.
He started to fade away a little bit, but he was good at 140. He was up there at 140. Like when he was at 140, Amir Khan was one of those guys, in my opinion. But I agree with you, man. He did get stopped, but I mean, people get stopped, but he always. I mean, but that's why I said it's good and bad, right? Because Amir was also chinny. I don't feel like Adam Azim is doing this.
I don't think Adam Azim's chinny though, bro.
Clean enough yet?
No, well, he's been caught clean, and this is what we were saying earlier, Ray, is that these. So I want you guys to think about it this way, right? There's a system in the UK in where when they're bringing you up from the amateur level, right? You're fighting all of these different amateur fights, even if you're not going to the Olympics, you're still in an amateur program, and then you go from the amateur program into your professional career. But as soon as that 10 to 15 fight range starts to happen, depending on how much amateur fight you had. They're already pushing you for the British title, then the Commonwealth title. And there's all these little kind of like it's almost like if you're a musician and you're learning,
like you're getting level ups,
you're learning how to like sing in front of a crowd and the stage.
Like
and that's the thing.
It's still, small club.
Exactly. And then like to them, it's a big deal to win a British and a Commonwealth and a European title. So as an example, Ray, like we got to watch Sam Gilley versus Ishmael Davis. And if we didn't know any better, that felt like a world title fight. But all that was a British Commonwealth title fight. But to them, that is the world, that section. So to Adam Azim, bro, him beating Kurt Scobie is their version of saying, now you're ready for the international people.
Right.
And to them, we're international. Does that make sense? Because they're domestic.
Once you cross the the ocean,
and that's why I was telling Clay, don't be surprised, man. I mean, like he could do another, step up or however they want to do it because he's only 23. But why not go for a world title? Especially if Dalton Smith wins. That rivalry's been brewing for too long, anyways.
You can fast track Adam Azim, right? Especially if you have Turkey with you, right? If the money's there, then by all means take it. Now, listen, I'm gonna be real with you. Adam Azim is the kind of fighter, from what I can tell so far, and I just want to watch more from him. But he seems like a fighter who, worst case scenario, he's going to get better from a loss. He's the kind of fighter who can actually catapult from a loss and come out better from a loss. So, I mean, I'm all for whatever they want to do with Adam. I mean, they feel like they want to move him into a big situation, which I wouldn't be shocked, because it does kind of look like, when I seen Turkey and him shake hands, it just seemed, Turkey gave me that energy of, I got plans for you, and we'll see what that means for him. Like you said, Dalton Smith on the horizon of trying to do something with Subriel Matias. And Dalton Smith, by the way, can win that fight in a real way, not on some like shooting star type nonsense. He's a very disciplined, fundamentally sound fighter. Liam Paro gave Subriel Matias all he could deal with. I think Dalton Smith is right in the same conversation to do the same thing with Subriel, if Subriel hasn't evolved as a fighter since that Liam Paro situation, because that Alberto Puello performance didn't show me evolution. It just showed me, pressure
that you lost.
Yeah, and he lost. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't see the adjustments in that fight. I didn't see all of that happen in that fight, but I did see him just kind of push through his own situation. So Dalton Smith can legitimately be the next WBC champion on this next fight.
I would bet on him, guys. If you're listening to this and you see a plus money, I would bet plus money on Dalton Smith. For sure. If it's part of the Vegas odds makers, honestly, is if they don't know too much about the international fighters. So sometimes they do something dumb. Like they'll be like, "Oh, Dalton Smith's gonna be plus 600." Clay, trust me, bro. If they make Dalton Smith,
Dalton Smith is a great boxer, man. And they don't know about him if they say something like that. But like I was saying real quick, just to kind of land my plane and just say that you can kind of see the Dalton Smith, Adam Azim story kind of working in the background as a potential fight that, the UK would be super highly behind. They know about these guys, and I think would make for a great fight as well, especially when you involve a title into it. I don't know, Ray, if you tapped into that Dalton Smith, Adam Azim.
There's so much going on there, man. Like, you got Dalton Smith, Puello, Martin, Barbosa, O'Leary is there. Jermaine Ortiz, who's by surprise.
I saw Jermaine too. I thought about Jermaine as well.
The most underrated 140 pounder, should be at 147
I agree.
right now.
I agree.
No respect. You have our undefeated unsung hero, right? You're gonna like this, Angelo. Brendan Lee. We don't know if he's fighting at 47.
Oh,
40, but
yeah.
He's still considered a prospect at like 25-0, which is crazy.
I know, man.
It's a shocker, right?
That's
matchmaking. I think
that's an honest assessment of him. As crazy as that sounds, I just don't think he got the fights on his resume, right? And but I think it's time. He's shown improvement. It's time for him to step up.
Got to step up at some point, bro.
Right? The eye test tells us what we want to hear, right? We're seeing the possibilities, but he needs to be tested. And I think the mere fact that he's 25 or whatever the number is and still considered a prospect speaks on the matchmaking, right? So they might be stunting his growth, low key.
Right.
Thank you, PBC.
Right. At this point, they might be stunting his growth. So it is what it is. But Adam Azim definitely shook up the space, 140 pounds on notice. I think he brings some color to the division, him being moved the correct way, of course. I'll also add to it, I don't know about Ben Shalom. I think, after you finish with Ben Shalom, figure it out. You might want to move on, unless, I don't know. I'm being real with you, Joe. Just be honest with you.
You know what? Okay, for real, though, if you do really understand how the UK scene works, what Ben Shalom and Boxer has done by signing the the British Boxing Channel.
I told him, over here in America, bro, we got to do something about that, BB. It's hard to continue to say that over and over and over again. It's just not hitting. It's just not hitting the right way.
Broadcasting connection, wherever it is.
It's the British Boxing Channel. Let me land my plane on this before it goes off the rails. So with Ben Shalom, he already did the Zuffa boxing. Like this, he's doing the example of it. And that's why a lot of his boxers, like Caroline Dubois, isn't necessarily going to leave, because if they're still trying to get more popular, right? Like, I want everyone to know who I am so I can get some of these advertising brands to hook up with me. Someone like Ben Whitaker, that's a different thing. But a lot of people are still sticking with Ben Shalom. So don't sell him short, Clay.
Hey, man, I'm just being honest with you. If you want to get in those big fights, let's see if Ben Shalom can make it happen. But at the same time, Ben Shalom's worked out some sort of partnership with Turkey Al Sheikh as well, so he can be under some sort of ambassador type of status and available to make all those big fights as well. So it is what it is, right? We'll see it come together. But Adam Azim is definitely somebody to take a look at. Moving forward, we'll see how they decide to move it, right? So what was the next fight on there? We talked about Catterall.
No, so it went Ishmael Davis versus Sam Gilly, which by the way was an amazing fight. I'm sorry you missed it, Clay, because me and Ray. Yeah. So that I'll put it to you this way. I think that was probably the most competitive fight of the night, and the final score of that was 115-114 twice. And 115-113. That's how close it was, Clay.
Yeah,
and they were killing.
That fight was going to be competitive, though. I had a feeling that was going to be a very competitive fight.
Yeah, and now, and by the way, now you have a Sam Gilly at 154 plus a Ishmael Davis at 154. Any one of those guys could end up being Boots' next fight if this Virgil Ortiz thing doesn't play itself out. Because, like you said, Clay, he's not trying to wait, and and these European guys are trying to test themselves anyways. They don't mind it. They have the UK fighters have more of like a UFC mentality where they don't think a loss is that bad for them as long as they really show out. Your Chisoras, your Whites, like, you know what I'm saying? The Padleys of the world. Like, they understand, yeah, maybe I lost, but I know the crowd loves me. And I know, you know what I'm saying? They're not afraid of getting the loss. So don't be surprised if Ishmael Davis versus Boots Enos happens if Virgil Ortiz thing doesn't go down. Because remember, I was telling you, Clay, that'll end up being the main event of a fight like Josh Kelly versus Baccarat.
That better not happen. That better not happen. I'm telling you right now, that'll be. I'm willing to bet $1 or $2 that will never happen. It is what it is, right?
I hope it doesn't. I hope it
better not happen. If it does happen, it's going to be devastating for somebody to explain that shit. But, I'll tell you that right now. Somebody going to have a hard time with that one, man. You might as well just move over there because you might literally get spit out by the whole American boxing space right now if we see you in the ring with Ishmael Davis, bro. But that being said, man, I'm interested in Ray Davis's opinion on the Jack Catterall 2.0, man, and Bozy Ennis. Where are you? I'm interested in both your opinions on this to a certain degree, and try to keep it simple for the space right now. But Bozy Ennis as a trainer, there's conversations of him potentially being in a trainer of the year conversation, right? Listen, man, he's got champions he's working on. And put it in perspective for you guys. Boots Ennis, unified lineal champion 147, in the conversation of being one of the top guys at 154, fighting the number one, the biggest fight that could be made at 154 is against the number one Ring Magazine fighter in Virgil Ortiz, and everybody wants to see Boots against this guy. Boots has been in conversation to be against Terrence Crawford. He has him. He's got Cool Boy, a unified champion, right? Who now is a 3-weight class on the 2-weight class champion, going for his third championship. He has Andy Cruz that he's about to walk into a championship with Raymond Moratala. And then now Jack Catterall added to the stable, and he's doing great things with Jack Catterall, who seems to be in the conversation of maybe even potentially being a fighter of the winner of Devin Haney and Brian Norman Jr., right? Possibly, right?
Yeah.
So where are we on the Bozy Ennis system at this point? And how did you feel about Jack Catterall's performance? And do you like this team, Bozy Ennis and Jack Catterall coming together?
I got an A-. I think it took him a minute to get settled into the match. And once he got settled, he took over. You know what I mean? It was where he needed to be. It was who he was supposed to be. I think him and Bozy is exactly what we said, a wrecking ball in boxing. Jack Catterall's style is needed, and it needed the fine-tuning of a Bozy Ennis who loves that straightforward, get him out of there type fighter. You know what I mean? That's his style. I want you to get him out of there. Knock him out. Don't run. And Jack Catterall fits that so well that it make you see how the as you were mentioning music earlier, right? You see how the notes play together. And not only did it just come together well, but it came together perfectly where he ended up getting a stoppage. Because I don't think he had a stoppage since before did he stop Regis? No. No, he didn't.
He
Right?
hasn't had a stoppage in a while. I'll look it up
It
real
was
quick.
before John. It was before Josh Taylor. I think right before Josh Taylor was his last KO. So it says a lot.
El Gato.
It says a lot.
Last
And
stoppage was
right before Josh Taylor, I believe.
El Gato.
man, bro, Oscar Amador, bro, 2019, and that was 2 fights.
Woo!
Okay, 2 fights before Josh Taylor, but that just says a lot, man. Like, you know,
I mean, that's 6 years he's been since he's gotten the stoppage.
and let that be known. 6 years, y'all. I'm just putting it out there. I ain't gonna go nowhere.
Well, no. You know what?
there.
Here's the bigger question, actually, because if I'm not mistaken, Echo Usman has only lost 3 times. So when's the last time Echo Usman got stopped, if ever? Has Echo Usman ever been stopped?
No, he's never been stopped. He just that one
Well,
time.
there you go.
There you go.
I think that's the bigger thing. That's the bigger credit.
Yeah, so hold on. That's 2 things I can say. Y'all pay attention. Pay attention, y'all.
Yeah, man. I think that that last night's performance on Jack Catterall, I think Bozy Ennis' system was also under the magnifying glass. Because and I'm being real with you, because I think me and Ray have talked about this privately for sure, and I'm not sure if me and Angelo have, but and we probably have, because as much as we talk, so it's a good chance that we have, but just wondering if that system works for everybody, right? I think there's questions going into the Andy Cruz Raymond Mortala fight. Does Andy Cruz do well against Raymond Mortala fighting the way Jack Catterall fought last night?
Yeah, I think I actually think that would. So, all right, just speaking from the past, Clay, the thing about gyms and coaches, right, is it's not. I don't want to say it's necessarily a Bozy and a system, more than there's a certain style that he trains, and there's certain points that he'll magnify with you more than other basic points, right? There's a certain philosophy of how to get from point A to point B. What helps, though, is from his son to all the other people that he's training, when all of them are winning, you step up your game. So if you're Andy Cruz and you just watch Catterall win, you're not trying to lose your next match. And it becomes this rolling domino effect. And I know this from past experience. Like that's what actually happens. So when they say, well, Wildcard Gym, at that particular period, it was the best because we had everybody coming through, right? Amir Khan was there. Even when Cesar Chavez Jr. was at his best, he was coming through, right? Juan Lascano was there. Like, there were so many different people coming through, and when they're going through their prime cycles, and that's where that Philly gym is right now. They're getting a lot of fighters either trying to get to their prime or right at their prime. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody's really long in the tooth at that gym. So that's why I think and to your point earlier when you were asking, should he get consideration? Well, shit, Clay, if he goes under, if he pretty much keeps winning, because he's got a couple more fights. Is Fulton fighting before the year's over too?
Fulton as well, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, if Fulton wins too, how can you not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Because part of I think that sometimes what gets thrown people off when they say, "Oh, well, that guy should be coach of the year." Ray, how many people did that guy coach? Because if all he caught, I mean, and no disrespect to Brian Norman Sr., but if all you got winning this year is your son, as great as of an accomplishment as that is, and that shouldn't be taken away, especially if you beat Devin Haney, because Devin Haney was just on the pound for pound list in March. I don't know if that's better than what Bozy just did. You know what I mean? Like, because Bozy did it with a lot of different people.
The one exception to the rule for me that is definitely in the conversation again is Bomac, just because I think the Terrence Crawford accomplishment
of course.
That was a big one. Yeah, but I agree with you. I think Bozy's 100% in this conversation, deep in this conversation of training.
So is Robert Garcia, by the way. Let's not forget about Robert Garcia.
Yeah, Robert Garcia, Andy Lee, all those guys are there. Ben Davidson in his own right to a degree to what he's doing with Moses Atama. There's some honorable mentions in there, but right now, Bozy does seem to be a standout. Not Ray. I don't know if you had a chance to speak on it, but where are you on Bozy Ennis and what he's doing? Being that, like I said, we've been sort of critical. I don't want to say we've been critical all the way because we always try to celebrate him, but I think maybe Ray could put it in better words, but definitely wondering how the fighters in that system were going to progress with that approach to the fight. How are you feeling right now? Did that help you mentally kind of like figure out how you feel about the Bozy Ennis system watching Jack Catterall last night, or is it still different strokes for different folks?
Exactly. I do believe it's different strokes for different folks. I think we have a Cuban fighter that lives on the slick side that has that boots in his defensive character. But I think what he's missing is he's missing that attack. That instead of trying to counter all day, he needs to go in there and attack. Bozy wants him to be an attacker. He wants him to be a Jack Catterall. He wants him to be what we just saw with Stephen Fulton, Scooter going in there and handling Brandon Figueroa. You know what I mean? Where the fight before, you seen kind of that slick Stephen Fulton where kind of like, okay, yeah, go in there and kill him, gets put on his pocket, and he still has to sit there and win the fight off the back foot. But then he turns it around with the Figueroa. I think with us knowing that Ruben Matala he does have power, but him having to move up in weight soon, and he probably won't be going through with this as we expect him to. This division, I think that's pretty much a call for, hey, we're moving up if we lose, we're moving up if we win. But I don't think he's taking too much precedence in that. I think he is going to show us something in Andy Cruz, but that just points to Bozy being on point with his guys. You know what I mean? I think we also have to keep in mind that he's also in the same boat, and to me, as a Derek James. I think he has too many guys in his stable that he can't give all the attention to because they're all elite fighters, just like Derek James had. Once you have all these top-notch guys, it's kind of hard to give them all the same time.
You don't think that Bozy got a team though? Like Derek's big thing was he didn't really
that's
have a team.
what I was going to say, right? Because even Jerron holds
he's got Premier Smalls, his father in there. He's got all his sons.
They do help train, but sometimes it's like when you have a teacher in class, your main teacher, you get a substitute, you don't feel like you're learning from the substitute. You don't feel like you're learning from the gym. You know what I mean? Your second teacher and you're not your homeroom teacher. You don't feel the same responsibilities that you have to take. So sometimes it does, as a professional, you should be able to adjust and take these things accordingly. But sometimes it's just the fact that you just don't feel comfortable working with certain individuals. Maybe Andy Cruz does feel better working with Bozy's oldest son, or he feels better working with another trainer. And not to mention that he does have another trainer there because he works out of Miami a lot. So and most of his training is done in Miami. So they're probably feeding him anyway. But just the fact is, when he gets in the ring, how does that connection work? Because that's where it matters. And like I said, all these guys all have fights coming up all in the same time frame. Boots just fought. You got Stephen Fulton that been training. He's supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, fight last week, and now supposed to fight in a couple of weeks. So he's still going through his training. And then you have Andy Cruz stuck in the middle there, right? So it's you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to go around for a head coach that has to get in the ring and coach these guys when you're not there, either not there to coach them, or they're being coached by somebody else and they're not listening to you because it's not enough direct connection. So it could work. I mean, if they respect them enough, they stick to the plans and follow suit, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. I think Bozy, for me personally, I think Bozy impressed me last night. What I saw last night was what it looks like.
Jack Catterall, right? Yeah, that's another fight. We have 4 fights in 5 weeks?
I don't know. But I'm going to say that Bozy's system works for Jack for me. Jack 2.0 looks very promising. And I thought I thought it worked out well to have an Echo Usman in the ring to test it against, because if it would have been like a cherry pick or an easier fight, to be like, okay, he's doing that against this guy, but what does he do against the real guys? And I think Echo Usman was a great dance partner and really showed, offered Jack Catterall a lot of issues, a lot of pressure. Jack had to work it out, and and worked it out in a stunning stopping the guy probably in the stop of the night, damn near, right? Was he the knockout of the night? Probably, right? Probably the best knockout in the whole night.
You didn't like the Riyadh pour?
No. I didn't see it. Man.
Oh, you didn't see that one?
Those are the two fights I didn't catch. The Ishmael Davis fight. You remember when I talked to you, I just woke up. I've been sleeping all day. I started the live like 3-4 minutes late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And well, I mean, shout out, by the way, to Matchroom and everybody to put that card together, because that's what a card looks like. Not the Golden Boy one that we saw just recently. Like, bro, that's what a card looks like.
Golden Boy had some weird. Let me tell you something. The judges in Mexico, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. That judging was looking crazy, bro. Shout out to.
Oh, you're talking. That's the top rank card that you're talking about, though.
Huh?
But that's the top rank card, right? The judges in Mexico.
Yeah,
you're talking about
top rank card. Yeah.
No, I was talking about the Golden Boy card we talked about a week ago.
Golden Boy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you know I ain't gonna lie to you. I was on some racial shit right there.
Okay,
Mexican and went to so you said Golden Boy. I went to Mexico and I started talking about the top rank card. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was diabolical. My apologies to the Mexican community, though. I was diabolical, right? But the judges in Mexico, regardless, in spite of that, horrible. But yeah, Golden Boy's card was amateur night at the Apollo for sure. And it's showtime at the Apollo. Bro. I was waiting for the man to come with the big hook and start snatching some of these guys out the ring. But
well, if you guys, let me repeat for the people who are listening. If you didn't get a chance to catch all the fights from just yesterday, Saturday night at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the UK, it started with Mickey Talon against Shahid. And Shahid, who's supposed to be an opponent, actually gave him a really good challenge before he got stopped in the 5th round, I believe, right? And then it went right to Ishmael Davis versus Sam Gilly. And I'm telling you, Clay, that don't be surprised if that even gets a fight of the year type of a candidate in at the very least at the UK, because it was that good. It was a very competitive fight. Then it went right into Adam Azim whooping on Kurt Scobie. That was a stoppage, right? And then it went to Riyakpour. So if you missed the heavyweight fight, Richard Riyakpour, who was originally moving up from cruiserweight, then he went to like that weird bridge weight thing that the WBC is doing. And then now he's at heavyweight. He knocked out Tommy Welch, who was undefeated. And that kid, he's not a kid. He's 36 now, but he's got power, man. So you got a new player in the heavyweight division. He weighs he's like 6'6", 237. So it's a big dude. And then it went into Jack Catterall, and then it went into Conor Benn. So that's again, man, that's what a ring. If you're gonna pay how much, I don't know how much you guys paid, but if you're gonna pay to pay-per-view, at least you got your money's worth in a pay-per-view like that.
Yeah, if you're interested in the fights, definitely, man. You know what I mean? I definitely felt like it was a good card. I want to go into the main event, right? And speak to the elephant in the room. But I mean, maybe I don't even know if I should hold that off, or should we just go through the top rank card real quick?
Yeah, you can slice through the top rank card and tell us how you feel.
I mean, listen, man. I think that Emiliano Vargas did pretty well. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Did you like that he went the distance? Because that's rare.
I mean, I think Emiliano Vargas got some good rounds in last night. Shout out to that guy Mike Contrell, I think was his name, or Mike. Whatever his name is, he didn't look, he got his ass whooped, right? Like he got beat up. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but I think you got to give him respect. He's a dance partner that we want to see in front of Moses Atama, right? Like we want to see Moses Atama get those rounds in. When you're dealing with those punchers like Emiliano Vargas and Moses Atama, unfortunately, these guys don't last. And Emiliano Vargas hasn't really been able to get any good rounds in under his belt. Last night, Mike Contrell, I'm hoping I'm saying his name correctly, really gave Emiliano Vargas those rounds and gave resistance, punched him, you know what I mean, hit him with some clean shots, worked his body pretty well, good movement, forced Emiliano Vargas to kind of adjust. Listen, man, I love what I saw from Emiliano Vargas. Very rarely am I not liking what I see from him, because he's beyond a puncher. Right. And he showed that last night. He can set up his shots well. I loved his commitment to the body, man. He was hitting off with these short hooks off to the body on Contrell. I mean, beautiful uppercut setup, decent jab, straight right hand, poise, right? As he had a fighter that was moving around and was trying to smother a lot of his work, and he wasn't getting frustrated and over exerting himself. He stayed patient. I like what I saw from Emiliano Vargas last night. I don't know if you guys want to share what you thought about this guy, and also what the question on the screen screams is, at this point, is he ready to do some contender fights? Is he ready to get out of this prospect level matchmaking, and is it time to step him up to the next spot? No, I mean, maybe like a top 11 fighter, you know what I mean, at this point. But you guys, let me know what you think about Emiliano Vargas at 140 pounds.
He's supposed to be the next guy, right? I mean,
still not impressed.
Emiliano, man. I mean, he's supposed to be that guy, and I think they're just holding on to their golden jewel, as they say. You already know about how Bob Arum feels. He wants to keep he wants a dominant Mexican champion. He wants, or a Latino champion. I'm not even going to say Mexican. He wants a Latino champion.
Just a Latin champion.
Right. And he wants them to represent him well. And I think he's going to move him the way he needs to move him, and protect him the way he needs to protect him, until he feels he's ready to get a title, whether it be by easy slick shot. And then he's going to move him outside the box, around and around. And you think our boy GTD was moved funny? Oh, wow. Wait till you see if he gets a belt. Yes, he's going to be until it's forced on him to fight something way. He's going to be definitely in odds of the fan base, because he's going to bring money in. They're going to use him right. He's going to bring money in because of who he is. He's a young and attractive young man to the women, and he's got the limelight. He's going to have the money
to a lot of men too, bro. It's 225, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Don't discriminate, Ray.
I'm just saying he has to look, right? He has to look,
cheese, wheeze, and all the above, bro.
Everything just falls there for him to be that guy for Top Rank and represent, and whoever sanctioning body supports him is going to protect him, just like they did all the other guys they always protected, because he's going to generate the bang for the buck,
right?
And it's going to be very good for him. But anyway, his performance last night just says that he just said, you know what I mean? It was just like, basically, why are you letting this can of whoop ass tear you up? You should have called the fight earlier, got him up out of there, but yet you want him to get his rounds in, and it is what it is. He did well doing it, and let's keep it moving. I'm good. I landed.
I mean, yeah, man. I don't know. I was more impressed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I watched the technique that he had. I think he's super sound, bro. Fundamentally, I think he did pass last night. What he did was an eye test for me. That's what that was. You know, all his other fights were just early knockouts. It was hard to really get a gauge of where he was. And last night, the eye test says that, you know, now he needs to get the right. He needs to get into the right fights now for me to see if he can deal with that from real fighters who can truly make him pay in a way to where, you know, will he push through? Will he adjust with the higher level fighters, or, you know, will he fold? But the eye test told me that he's a very sound, he's a good boxer as well as a puncher, and those combinations come together well to, you know, I anticipate seeing him against Keyshawn Davis and potentially Abdullah Mason if he comes up to 140 in time before he goes to 147, because I'm sure Emiliano Vargas isn't going to stay at 140 but so long. He's a pretty big kid, you know what I mean, for that division. But I like what I saw in him. Emiliano Vargas shining last night, did his thing. Solid 10 rounds under his belt. He can move forward now. And yeah, man, I think he's ready for some contender fights, man. I think he's ready to move it up. Not a champion, nothing crazy, you know what I'm saying, like that. But, you know, it's time for him to get in there with somebody who can give him some real smoke. And I think he can handle it. It's not for everybody. But Emiliano showed me last night, I believe he can go up there and compete at the highest level. And I think I want to see that next to him. I don't think I want to see him in there with another cherry pick.
Well, let me ask you this question then, Clay. If you believe that, then let me give you a matchup right now. Okay. How well do you think Emiliano could do against Oscar Duarte?
A very interesting fight. Man, you want to lean towards Oscar Duarte, right? You want to do that. But listen, man, Emiliano's punching, man. And I think I'll tell you this. I think he's I think he operates very. What the hell was that about?
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't know what Restream keeps doing, but it just keeps happening.
Yeah, that was weird. But I think that Emiliano Vargas against Oscar Duarte would be a great fight. But I don't think that's a fight that's realistic.
Bro, Oscar Duarte kill that kid. I'm sorry.
I don't know if he kills him, but I think I would like I said, I would probably have to favor Oscar Duarte. That's what I would probably do. But I think more importantly, he will never fight Oscar Duarte. I don't think Top Rank would allow that to happen, and I definitely don't think Oscar would allow that to happen, because Oscar Duarte is right there at getting him a championship. He's right there at the cusp of getting into a championship fight. So yeah, that fight just wouldn't happen. I think.
Okay, all right, hold on. How about this? How about Ernesto Tito Mercado?
Great fight. Great fight.
I'm just giving you names. You're the one that's trying to step this guy up. I agree with Ray. If you want to step this kid up, I'm giving you the bottom half of a 15 ranking. I'm giving you everybody that's like ranked.
No, I think that'd be a great fight, bro. I think that'd be a great fight, and I think Tito is gung ho to get it. I mean, Tito's looking for a standout fight. He's looking for a fight to get him in that conversation. He's high risk, low reward. I think his IQ's better, probably pedigree's better than Emiliano Vargas, but I think it's a fight he would definitely take. If they wanted to put that fight together, that'd be a realistic fight. And I think who do I think wins? You're asking me, or do I think
No. You think, how well do you think he would handle?
I think he would do well. I think he comes out of that fight a better fighter, win or loss. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think I'll go with Tito though. I think Tito wins that fight, but
okay. So now you're making Ray's point about how maybe he's not, ready yet. He's almost there. But I'll give you one of the. I'll give you
what do you mean ready? Do I think he's ready to fight for a belt? No.
No. But these guys that I'm naming,
he's been fighting. Yes.
No. The guys that I'm naming, bro, is like Mercado is number 11. Okay, Duarte is number 10. Like these are in the bottom half, right?
No,
like these are
like number 10, but Duarte's getting ready to fight for a belt, bro. He's up there, bro.
You're not going to put him in the ring with Arnold Barboza. You're not going to put him in the ring with Jermaine Ortiz. And I'm glad either than Sandor Martin. These are all top ranked guys. You're not going to put him in the ring with those guys. Why? Because of the experience and because of what can happen to him. The upset will, because they'll consider it an upset. But these are all tough. Even Oscar Duarte, those are all tough fights for this kid. So yes, I think you got a Hinder Cedeno, you got a Jack Rafferty, you got a couple of guys that you could probably pull. I don't even put him in with Steve Claggett after I see what he did. But you got Arizona. Alvarez, you got guys like that are in the top 15. You'll put them in the ring with. Those will be guys that'll be significant. Maybe even slip if you're gonna slip them in anybody in the top 15 or top 10 or top 5 even. Maybe like a Kenneth Sims might work for him. Good matchup. I think it's a possible win for him. But Kenneth Sims is a tough fight, but it's still something that can work in his favor. But I don't see too many working for him in that way.
Okay,
yeah, I think
not in top 10.
I think you look at. I like Tito Mercado. I ain't gonna lie. I like Tito. I like Ernesto. I like the Antonio Morans. I like the I mean, even low key and Adam Azim would be crazy. I think I like Jack Rafferty as well. And man, I like Jermaine Ortiz, bro. I think that's a decent fight for him as well. I don't think they're gonna put him into those type of situations right now, because I think what Ray said was also very valid as far as who he represents at Top Rank. He's a future, he's a big star. But if they are trying to see him being a champion, I think in 2026, they're gonna step it up a lot for him. They're gonna have to, man. You're not just gonna build this, and it's Top Rank, right? So they're gonna do it the right way. They're not gonna throw him into the hot grease, but they're gonna have to step him up. If you want to get him to be a champion, you're gonna have to step up the competition.
You want to step him up, all right.
You gotta step him up. You can't just continue.
I'll give you one last name, Clay. He's not even ranked anymore because he just lost. Okay, this guy's not even ranked, but he is a name. And no, because I think Arnold is still ranked somewhere. How about Regis Prograis? How well do you think Emiliano could do against Regis Prograis?
I think he knocks Regis out.
Yeah, he's washed, bro.
He'll knock Regis out. That'll be a great name for it. He'll knock Regis out.
That'd be a
Okay, well then maybe you'll see that then. Maybe you'll see something
I'm telling you, he's knocking that dude out. Like, that's a fact. That's what's happening to that guy.
Yeah,
salute Regis. I know. Don't take it personal, but maybe you got to take it personal because I ain't talking about you getting knocked out. Emiliano will eviscerate.
He shattered his jaw, and y'all can laugh at me all y'all want, but Devin shattered that man's jaw, bro.
Tatters whose jaw? Oh, you saying he broke? Devin broke Regis' jaw.
You Regis.
Okay.
Yeah, Regis ain't been the same since that fight.
That fight right there. Matter of fact, make that fight as soon as possible. That's a fight that could be made. That might be the one, man. Make a Regis fight if Regis wants to take that fight.
So he can fight anywhere.
There you go. There you go.
We'll knock him out.
Clay just made it happen, guys. He just made a match.
You never know. Another fight on that card. Richard Torres was fighting on that card, man. American heavyweight boxing has no real guys, right, to look forward to. I mean, you got Josh Edwards, who's probably, in my opinion, the highest prospect, in my opinion. He's the guy I'm looking to do something in the heavyweight division, but he's got time in front of him, right? This guy's still in single digits as far as his record is considered. But Richard Torres is a fighter with a great Olympic background. He's a smaller heavyweight, but listen, great movement, fast, good technique in delivering his punches, tight punches. And he's got some power and some pop about him. Last night, he just eviscerated Tomas Salik last night, devastated him inside of one round. I think the fight to me spoke to it's time to really step him up. It's time. It's either you're going to bet on him or move on from him. We can't continue to keep putting in the ring with these guys. Rumors circulating that potentially maybe him and a Guido Viana. Well, no, he already beat Guido, right?
I think that was close. Yeah, he did beat him. It was it was ugly. It was ugly, Clay. It wasn't pretty.
I mean, but he still got that win. But I mean, I'm throwing it back at you guys. Where you guys got this guy, man? What are we gonna do with Richard Torres at this part? Is this barbecue?
All right. Well, look, man. Heavyweight division is always rough, right? Heavyweight division is always rough. I don't know. Let me ask you this, okay? Because Richard Torres right now in the IBS ranked number 4. So is Richard Torres ready to go upward? Because I don't think so. But I mean, it's up to top rank.
So what do you do with him if he's not? What do we do with Richard Torres then? Because listen, man,
to that bridgerweight division and have him fight bridgerweight for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
get him out the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I agree with Ray on that because honestly, I know you liked what you saw. Clay, but you got sold, magic beans, bro. Like Richard Torres ain't doing
sold
nothing.
One way or another. I'm not one way or another. I'm not a big Richard Torres fan, you know what I'm saying? But what I am saying is that you have a heavyweight fighter who's fighting all these cherry picks. What are you gonna do with him? Is my question. What's his use?
Okay,
It's like that building sitting there in the middle of the city with all type of scaffolding around it, and it's like you've been doing construction on this building for years. It's like, okay, so what's the plan with that building? Is somebody going to move into it? You going to put businesses into it? Are you really going to do something with it, or is that just going to be an eyesore in the middle of the city that I got to drive by every damn day with nothing going on? I don't even see people working on it no more. So what is Richard Torres going to do?
So let me ask you this question, right? So here's an example of what we're saying. So in the IBF, he's ranked number 4. He's not ranked anywhere else. But I'm going to give you a name. Someone who is ranked in 2, 3. He's ranked in 3 of the organizations. He's ranked number 13 in the WBO, number 13 in the IBF for whatever reason. And I don't know why he's so low. And he's ranked number 6 by the WBC. And that is a heavyweight fighter by the name of F.A. Ajagba, who's also a part of top rank. So do you think Richard Torres could do well against F.A. Ajagba, bro?
Yes, I think he could do well against F.A. Ajagba.
Oh, my gosh. He's going to get destroyed.
I don't think so. I don't think he gets destroyed by F.A.
He'll do all right with F.A. Ajagba.
Let me tell you, Richard Torres is not I don't know how you guys see him, but for me personally, he's not a tomato can.
No, he's not. But he shouldn't be ranked number 4.
I mean, well, listen, that's a different conversation, right? But at the end of the day, he presents a lot of issues for a lot of heavyweights, not the big guys necessarily, but he's very athletic. He's fast. He has better conditioning than most of these guys. He's probably one of the more well-rounded as far as like technically sound fighters in the heavyweight division. Most of these fighters are kind of like,
come on, Ray. Are you really gonna say he's technically sound?
One guy.
Oh, sorry, Clay. Sorry, Clay. Yeah. But I was going to ask is, Ray, do you think Richard Torres is a technically sound guy?
I think he's an offensive fighter very aggressive on the offensive side. His defense lacks a little bit. He's very, I mean, you know what? And I didn't even say that he really has no defense. He's just a puncher. You know what I mean? He gets in there and he's fighting
But he's not just a puncher.
Dominican.
I mean, we'll see.
He's fighting
He's not just a
Dominican.
puncher to
So
me.
he's
Okay, all
fighting
right.
Dominican.
Here's a better question
We've
for
never
you
seen
guys.
him really put up a defensive war, and I've seen him only be an offensive fighter, and him being
That's because he's taking advantage of a lot of slow heavyweights. But what I'm saying to you is, if you pay attention to him, so are you telling me you're not seeing the shot selection, the combination punching, the work to the body, the poise, the way he fights?
Yes.
I think. Look, I'll be straight up and tell you, I think he gives Daniel Dubois fits.
Oh man, you done lost your mind.
By Daniel Dubois very quickly.
Huh?
I think he gets clipped faster than Anthony Joshua by Daniel Dubois.
Thank you, Ray.
No way. Listen, what you see, Clay, I'm going to tell you.
Time will tell, bro.
Listen,
like
Clay,
wine. Let's see what happens.
Where that crystal ball is. I always tell you be predicting stuff. You might have a crystal ball somewhere that.
Hey, let me tell you what I see. I'm going to tell you what I see. I'm going to let's see what Daniel Dubois does with Frank Sanchez. First of all, let's see what he does in that fight. But I'm telling you, he can frustrate a lot of fighters because he's not going to be there. He's not there to be knocked out, bro. He will play his position. He's not going in there. He has wrinkles to his game. He's not going to go in there against a Daniel Dubois who's a big puncher and just walk forward and think he's going to weather a Daniel Dubois storm. He's going to box. He's going to move. He's going to choose angles. He's going to frustrate Daniel Dubois. Listen, man, Richard Torres is a talented small heavyweight. He can cause a lot of issues. These big heavyweights are not athletic, bro. And when they get in, Alexander Usyk, in my opinion, exposed that in the heavyweight division. He went against the big punchers and Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora, and he beat these guys. Why? Because he's athletic, because he boxes well, because he has good movement. And these guys are slow. They're big punchers, and they can make it messy when if you want to brawl it out with them and do that heavyweight thing. But Richard Torres brings in that X factor. He brings in that wild card of being a puncher, like you said, Ray Davis, but he's super athletic, and he uses that.
I mean, you know what it sounds like to me, Clay. When
you got to throw him in the ring with somebody and see if it is what it is.
When you're saying what you're saying, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting Richard Torres. Shout out to Richard Torres and his family and his team. He is a silver medalist for the United States. So we're just talking about the actual current state of the heavyweight division, which is great. It's been better than it's ever been since probably the late 1970s. Like, there's so many great heavyweight fighters in the division. It's eye-popping. Okay. Having said that, man, Richard Torres, bro, every time you talk about him, Clay, you're making him sound like Jared Anderson. And in fact, let me
ask Jared Anderson.
Bro, I will tell you who he is. You want to know who he is? If I have to bring up heavyweights of the past and say who I think he is, he's a Tommy Morrison.
But even still, though, Ray, Tommy Morrison had more fights, but Tommy Morrison had more fights to get up to the championship. So
he has enough to get the job done. He has enough to go where he needs to be as a fighter, but he lacks. I just think the defensive mindset is not there.
I agree.
And it's because he's been trained to go in there and fight these guys, Clay, that just been like, okay, I'm going in there and I'm going to knock this guy out. I can beat this guy and now box this guy. So his mind is never saying, okay, somebody's going to come and catch me with overhand right. I got to defend that. I got to defend. No, he's not a counterpuncher. He's an aggressor. He's the first to strike.
Right.
And I think that is, especially being a smaller fighter, that plays a part. And I think, and I can't really talk about his footwork because you say he's athletic. He never really displayed a crazy footwork. Because I remember he was fighting that tomato can out of Miami. That guy looked like really like, what I'm talking. And he was hitting.
A big fat dude.
Yeah, he was hitting.
The thing is, Clay, he didn't even really look that great against Vianello. In fact, it looked ugly.
And I'm like, yo, there's no way
he needs the matchmaking to get better for him, bro.
I agree.
He comes from a pedigree of fighting, bro, that I just can't ignore, and I'm not going to push it aside. Now, listen, I'm all in on what you're saying, Ray, as far as him not getting used to getting hit with big shots or big guys coming at him, and he needs to learn how to deal with that. And without being in that situation, he is susceptible to making that big mistake in a big fight. So I'm not saying throw him in there for a belt. And I'll add to this, right? And I'm gonna say, well, if he's not ready for those things, then he needs to leave the division, because ultimately, what's your purpose if you don't have any real championship expectations for this guy? And I'm speaking to Top Rank right now about what you want to do with Richard Torres, and what are you going to do with him? Because how much more of these fights can we deal with him? What do you want us as a fan base, as a boxing space, to do as far as embracing this guy as a heavyweight fighter, or is he just not a heavyweight fighter at this point and needs to go somewhere else?
And to be fair, too, let me just add, chat, and to everybody who's listening to us at ATP Combat Media, we're not saying it's Richard Torres' fault, because Richard Torres wants to fight everybody. He's asked for Ituma. So it's not. We're not saying, hey, you, Richard Torres. We're more talking about, hey, Top Rank, man, y'all got to figure out a way to get this guy something.
Top Rank, what are you going to do with Richard Torres is the question, right? I'm not even trying to necessarily defend him as much. I'm just on this side because I'm not going to treat him like a tomato king, because I just know he's not. But at the same time, I wonder how his talent is going to translate against the big guys, because he's a small heavyweight. He just is who he is, right? But what are you gonna do with him? We just watched him fight a guy last night, break his nose. The guy gave up after one round, not even a full round. He gave up in the corner. It is what it is, right? So what's next for Richard Torres? What are we gonna do with this guy? Are we gonna matchmake him with somebody who's gonna let us know who he is, so we can know how to move forward with him? Or do you guys already know who he is, and you guys are just freezing up and holding up shit and not putting him where he needs to be, which is bridgerweight? Or maybe Top Rank just gets out the Richard Torres business. I don't know.
And in fact, Top Rank, here, I'll give you a suggestion right now, right? You guys are good at matchmaking, so do this. Zhilei Zhang is a former silver medalist, and he's more on his way out than he is back in. But he's got a really good resume, and he can punch. He's slow-footed enough that if Richard Torres is a little bit better than what even Ray is talking about, if you could beat Zhang, then at least we could be more convinced that you deserve to be in that top 10 range. But if you can't even beat Zhang, bro, and use your silver medalist boxing skills, then you're not ready, man. You're not ready. And that's a step up.
He's not ready, though, right? And maybe he's not ready for the top 10. But yeah, once again, Top Rank, figure it out what you're going to do with him, because I don't even see him on a trajectory to fight in a fight. So it's weird to me at this point. Like, I don't even see you putting him on a path where I'm like, okay, he's getting better with his competition. He's living. Where's the development? What's happening with this matchmaking with Richard Torres? What's the game plan for Richard Torres? What are you guys gonna do with him? And right, it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Put him in the ring with Jared Anderson.
Yeah, I'm with that. Go ahead, Ray. Put him in the ring with Jared Anderson. Let's see who wants it more.
I think it's time for that. I think it's time for a fight like that for Richard Torres. It's time to figure out who the face of American heavyweight boxing is going to be for the foreseeable future, until something better comes along. Until Josh, you
guys know it's Jake Paul. Stop it, Clay.
Maybe that's why you don't think so. You don't even want him in there with the real deal. You scared to put him in there with the real deal, bro. I'm ready to see, man. Maybe it is Jake Paul, bro. You scared to put him in there with the real deal. You know what I mean? Not me. But yeah, do something with him, man, and get the playing field ready for Josh Edwards, who's coming up in the background, getting ready to do something. What fighter is he going to fight here in America? You're going to make listen, the UK got the heavyweight division on lock right now, bro.
Yeah,
so it's on you guys. You guys are going to do something, make something happen, or I mean, it is what it is, right? Look, I ain't mad. It is what it is, man. But on that same exact card, bro, we saw let me find him here. Where you at, brother?
It was Landolfo Delgado, which you thought he lost, and then after Landolfo Delgado was
fight that much.
and then it was Arnold Kagai versus Rafael Espinoza. Espinoza stops Kagai, pretty much beats him up pretty badly. Rafael Espinoza,
right, but I think there's a bigger question for Rafael Espinoza, right? And the fight wasn't even that much to talk about. It was a one-way beating. The guy showed some life here and there, hitting him with some decent overhand rights, and set him up with some decent shots once he was able to get inside of that crazy jab. I was talking to Ray about this fight and just Rafael Espinosa, and brought Sebastian Fundora into the conversation a little bit as well, just dealing with these fighters who are making the weight but are just super tall, super long arms, and it just seems awkward when you watch these fights. It almost seems unfair, right? The way these fights look. Well, Rafael Espinosa wins his 4th title defense since he's become champion and upsetted Robeisy Ramirez. He's had this was his 4th fight against Arnold Kagai, and this guy is fighting people and he's making them look like tomato cans, right? And they're not. Arnold Kagai is a good fighter.
He is. He's a really good fighter. Yeah,
but there's clearly what do they call that?
A protective shield.
Maybe, yes, right. That also describes it, but there's a handicap there.
Okay.
For fighters, he's do we want to see this guy against Nick Ball?
No, I'd like to see him against Shushu Carrington, bro.
Period. But at this point for Rafael Espinosa, if you're not going to make the Shushu fight, or if you're not going to at least chase down the other belts, at least do that.
Then fight Angelo Leo. Angelo. Why is Angelo Leo fighting a pro box? You know what I'm saying? Right? Like,
if you're not going to chase the belts and chase a unification and chase undisputed and then do that, then get out the division, right? Are we ready to see this guy do another mandatory or fight another defense on his title 4 fight? What are we doing? What are we doing with Rafael Espinosa?
I got an idea, Ray, but if you want to go first, go ahead.
Well, I mean, he did want to hear your perspective. I'll just let the crowd know that there's only 2 people. First of all, he's too tall for the division, and I was explaining earlier that there's only a few guys that can really beat. I think give him good competition, and that's going to be you mentioned Shushu
Carrington,
and I believe and would give him a really good fight and maybe beat him would be Brandon Figueroa. Because I think he avoided Brandon Figueroa a couple of times. They're close in height too. I think Brandon Figueroa is what? 6'1"?
Brandon Figueroa is kind of like like him.
Like 6'1", right? So he's like right there.
6'1", is he?
Yeah, I think he's like 6'1".
Let me check the height on Brandon Figueroa.
That one.
No, Brandon Figueroa is 5'11". Oh no, he's 5'9".
Yeah. I'm about to say he's not.
But he was taller than Fulton. That's what's throwing you off.
He's taller than anybody at 126 and tall. He's okay, but still 5'9". I think he's taller than that. Remember, these are the entry 18-year-old stats.
He might be 5'10".
I think. Maybe he was definitely taller than Fulton when they fought. So.
But regardless, I think he gives him a good challenge as well. I don't think anybody else does because I just think the range and unless you get you got to take the risk of going in. The elbows are coming. You got different shot selections. You got to get in and out. And going in is going to be a problem. Coming out is going to be a problem from the fighting aspect. So pause to y'all pausers out there. But yeah, I think that Brandon Figueroa is definitely a problem. Now, I think there is another type of fighter that can be a potential problem of it, and we've seen this with our boy Gervonta Tank Davis being a compact fighter. Compact fighters are very Isaac Pitbull Cruz. They're very dangerous because they're hard to hit through that guard. If you got a guard that you can get in and unable to be successful, that overhand looping right hand comes over the top or left hand comes over the top and it catches you because you don't see it coming because you're too busy focusing on trying to break that guard down. And those are the type of fighters that can also be dangerous, like a Nick Ball. So that's all I see is a danger to him. Everybody else, I think, is like a cakewalk because of the height. He's been measured. He knows how to use his distance. He knows how to punch at he doesn't really use feints. He actually just throws a jab or 1-2 all day.
He's getting to the point where he don't even care about his defense, right? He's just letting his hands go when he comes in after that jab and it's a straight right hand, then a bunch of uppercuts, body shots. I mean, he looks good doing it, but you can tell he's not even feeling threatened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you got to get through that. You got to get through that. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you're going into a battle. I'm going to use the word battle. I'm not going to say nothing else. And you got to go through the landmines. After you get to the landfill, then you got to go through the first defense. Then you got to go through the air raid. Then you got to, you know what I mean? You're going through all these things just to get to where you got to do to get the flag. So that's what it is with him. In order to get a punch, you got to go through all that. And then you gotta retrieve that flag and get back out, and you gotta go through the same thing to get out. And that's the problem with a lot of these fighters with him. So
yeah, he battered Arnold Kagai last night. He battered him, you know what I'm saying? And it was a fight to me that just wasn't entertaining. That's how I felt about it at the end of it, right? I felt like Rafael Espinosa handily won the fight. There's no question about it. But I felt like, you know what? Also, at the end of it, I'm beginning to lose interest in Rafael Espinosa. And unless he's involved in a unification fight, doing something special, I want to see him leave the division. Yep. So fight Shushu, go on a tour to get all the belts and become an undisputed champion. Do something special that I can get behind as a boxing fan, or you're going to lose me, because I'm going to need you to go to 130 and fight fighters up there, which I'm sure you'll give them issues as well, but at least there'll be these fighters will be bigger punchers and bigger challenges for you, and probably the more skilled fighters with the Raymond Fords up there and Stephen Fulton up there and Oshaki Foster and Emmanuel Navarrete, and those guys are up there, you know what I'm saying, ready to meet you and make a big fight happen. But yeah, when it comes to Rafael Espinosa, I think I'm about done watching him do what he's doing right now at 126. And I was just wondering where you guys were at on it.
Yeah, no, Ray. I mean, Ray made a really good point about it. My whole thing is, if Stephen Fulton's going to move up, let's say he wins, he beats Oshaki Foster. That makes Bruce Carrington automatically the email champion because he's currently the interim. Remember, he just won the interim WBC. So technically speaking, he would become the champ. So now you got Carrington as a champ, Angelo Leo as a champ, Nick Ball as a champ, and Espinosa is a champ. There could be something there. Frank Warren's already talked about doing the Guinness Book of World Record shortest against tallest with Nick Ball versus Espinosa. That could be interesting.
Hey man, there's a belt at least.
Yeah, at least it's a double belt. And then again, man, I still wonder, why is Angelo Leo fighting on Pro Box? Because he beat Lopez. You know what I mean? I thought he was a top ranked guy, so maybe something happened there, but I wouldn't mind seeing Angelo Leo and Rafael Espinosa fight it off to see who the unified WBO IBF is. But you know, Shushu's there, Angelo Leo's there, Nick Ball is there. And even, you know, like I like Ray's idea, man. Go put Brandon Figueroa in there. Brandon Figueroa right now is the number 2 to Espinosa. And then there's Luis Neri. I don't want to see Luis Neri against Rafael Espinosa. So let me see Brandon Figueroa. You know, and other than that,
I'll settle for Brandon, but once again, why? When Shushu's there screaming your name.
No, I know. But again, if
your name, he was on Twitter last night while the fight was going on, going, I need to fight this guy next. You know what I mean? Like while the fight is going on, he's on Twitter. Like, it's pitiful to kind of watch everybody just run from Shushu. I'm getting, and I don't even want to be like that, but damn, bro.
No. Like people don't want to fight Shushu.
Y'all scared to fight Shushu, bro. It's sad, bro. It's diabolical, man, that this man is going through this country.
Yeah, he's kind of the boogeyman of 126. So,
which is crazy, right?
It is, bro. It is what it is, and whatnot. So, are we gonna get to the Conor Benn thing? Because I gotta go pretty soon, Clay.
Oh,
we're
okay.
at the 2 hour mark. We're at the 2 hour mark.
Yeah.
So that, you know,
we're gonna get to it. I just want you to see where I'm at right now, Angelo. So,
man, all right. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
I'm right. I'm coming up. I'm right behind you, bro. I'm creeping up to you.
For you guys who don't know, Ray is doing the Guillotine League of Fantasy Football.
For the first time.
And earlier in the week, the computer projected Ray to be the guy getting chopped. And right now he's in 3rd place. That's how good his team is doing. So he's not going nowhere, y'all. I'm gonna have to hear this for another few weeks.
No, you're good. You good. It's just every time you count me out, I'm just gonna let you know. Listen, man,
no. Good moves.
Keep me there.
Good moves. You and your math. You and your damn math.
He's good at that shit, bro. He's gonna crunch some numbers. He's gonna give you something to work with.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, right? So let's go into the elephant in the room. Conor Benn wins for his last name light, right? He does his fight. There's no belt on the line. There's no accolades in real time. This was a family feud, right? We saw the first fight go by. Fight of the year candidate. These guys just shot from the hip, right? And just let it all hang out in that first fight. This fight right here, we were looking for the adjustments going into the fight. Predictions were made. Angelo called for Conor Benn to win this fight. I actually called him getting knocked down once or twice as well, as far as Chris Eubank getting knocked down a few times in this fight. And the fight, pretty much went that way, right? Went to a unanimous decision for Conor Benn. I agree with the unanimous decision. I think Conor Benn did just dominate Chris Eubank Jr. First of all, going into the fight, do any of you guys feel like briefly going through, landing your plane as soon as possible as far as what you wanted to see going into the fight?
Well, yeah, sure. I thought I wanted to definitely see what I got from the Conor Benn side. I wanted to see more pressing, and not be so not much aggression, just like a nice press, nice feints and lead with the jab. As far as Eubanks, I wanted to see him sit there and counter, catch him coming in, and utilize that skill set that he has in the range to dictate the fight. Unfortunately, you see where it landed.
Yeah, no, and again, just like Ray's saying, you guys saw when you analyze it, Clay, it's simple, man. I told you that Chris Eubank made a very miscalculated error in giving Conor Benn 2 camps to work on getting up to 160, which is stupid. Like, you should have just took him in August when you were supposed to. But for whatever reason, you weren't ready. You talked about how you had to go through hell and back, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, Chris Eubank at this point in his career isn't good enough to be at 168 to challenge any of the people in the top 5, right? We certainly don't want to see a Canelo versus Chris Eubank, like, unless you just want to see Canelo get a payday at 168. I'm not going to believe in this whole narrative of, oh, he felt drained. Bro, if you've been fighting 160 over your last 4 fights, you're not that way drained, and you had extra time to get used to this, so no excuses on the weight. I don't want to hear it. Bomac was your coach, which, as you guys know, we just saw it with Erickson Lubin. Switching to a coach isn't necessarily the best plan, especially if you already won the first fight anyways. Mm-hmm. Why are you switching coaches, right? Now, I found it very interesting, Clay, that Terrence Crawford, when they asked him, before the fight, what do you think your team helps with, even though it's only one camp? Like, the reporter asked a really good question. What the reporter was asking Terrence Crawford is, how much can he really change in this short amount of time when you bring in such a great team in Bomac and the rest of your coaches, Terrence Crawford? And what can that team really bring? And what Terrence Crawford said is, well, the one thing I know for sure that they'll bring is the discipline. So now it made me go, so was that the problem? Was the problem Chris Eubank, after that win, was having a lack of discipline, bro? And if that's the case, then what we just saw is kind of a Tank Davis, man. He just came in for a payday. He did his best. Oh, boo-hoo, you lost, right? In the meantime, what I've been saying to everybody is Conor Benn is the most popular non-world champion fighter right now. I've been saying that. He's like at Anthony Joshua level, bro. He is so popular. And he has always said, and he has always stated, I'm a 147, and I want to get my 147 belt. And that guy, for real, actually did a punishment, Clay, for popping for what he popped for. But he paid for it, man. Out of the sport for close to 2 years. He was basically dead broke, dude. Like, he worked his way back up. So I got nothing but love and respect for Conor Benn and his entire family. And now we get to see the guy who's going to move the needle at 147 to make it super popular. Because think about it now, guys. Ryan Garcia, Conor Benn, Brian Norman, Devin Haney. Like, it's fun. It's fun again.
Yeah.
Wait. Fun. Throw Manny Pacquiao.
Remember, he wanted to keep it short. We're going to give
I'm
about to say, we're trying to get through this. I didn't.
But that's it. You guys already knew what my prediction was. I was correct. And we move on in life now. Conor Benn.
Right. So, going into the fight, I wanted to see Conor Benn make the adjustments, right? I wanted to see how he was going to deal with his patience, dealing with the regulating his emotions, all those different things, right? The boxing aspect of the sport. I know Conor Benn is a fighter. He's a fighter and he's going to fight. And he's an explosive fighter. And I know he has the heart of 12 lions. Like, I know this man has shown me multiple times that one thing Conor Benn is not is scared of anybody, or, he's going to fight you. He'll fight you right then and there. You talk, Conor Benn's the kind of person, if you talk to him crazy, he'll fight you there. Yeah. You want to fight, he'll get it in with you right then and there, right? But wanted to see if he was going to be able to control all of that energy, focus, adhere to a good strategy that he worked on for a full boxing camp, and not go rogue inside of the ring. That was going to be the difference maker, I thought, in this fight. And with Chris Eubanks Jr., wanted to see him not get dragged into a fight, to keep it boxing and to make Conor Benn step his game up, and thinking that Chris Eubank was going to show that, you're a great fighter, but boxing is what this is. And because we are boxing, and if I can slow this down and force you to box me, you won't be able to compete with me on this playing field. Which I think Chris Eubank wanted to do. And I think Bomac also wanted to do going into the fight. I think that was the game plan. But for one reason or another, Chris Eubank was not able to pull the trigger. He was, he looked, he just looked lethargic. He looked slow. He looked like he wasn't able to keep up with the pace that Conor Benn was putting on him. You know what I mean? Conor Benn was doing a great, even with the feints, he was feinting him, and Chris was biting on all the feints, right? He just was mentally just kind of scatterbrained in the brain, and Conor Benn was just kind of like beating on this dude who looked like a shell of himself, right? So, that leads into what it comes down to, and what the conversation really is right now circulating in the boxing space is Chris Eubank Jr. coming in there, like you said, Angelo Reyes, for a payday against the better judgment of his father, against the better judgment of a lot of pundits in the space, with a nasty rehydration clause, and ultimately end up paying the ultimate cost, right? Which getting knocked down twice in the last round and looking just outclassed and just beaten up by a 147-pounder who came up to fight him at 160 pounds. Now, Angelo, you spoke to it and said that you're not really feeding into the weight drain issue. You feel like he's been at 160 pounds campaigning. He was an IBO champion there. He had just come off knocking out Liam Smith, avenging a knockout he had at 160. But, we just also watched Erickson Lubin against Virgil Ortiz Jr. look really depleted in a fight against Erickson Lubin. No sweat coming off of him. A career, once again, 154-pounder, just like Chris Eubanks is a career 160-pounder. And everybody kind of noticed that, right? Just a punchy person, no real punch resistance, and just laid up on the ropes as soon as he got hit with something hard and almost gave in, right? Just sat there shelled up against the ropes because he really didn't have it in him to pull the trigger and be the kind of fighter that people expected him to be, to at least make the fight competitive with Virgil Ortiz. And it just goes and segues into a whole nother conversation in boxing, which is the weight cut, the science of the weight cut, and how important the weight cut is in these fighters who are hanging out in divisions way too long past their time. They're not moving up like they naturally should. And especially when you're dealing with money, right? When you bring Turkey in and you start offering tens of millions of dollars to compete in a weight class that you probably need to move past, you're probably thinking, I'm going to hang back a little bit. And it looks like that's what Chris Eubank did. It looks like he hung back just a little too long, maybe 2 fights too long, 1 to 2 fights too long, being that he also had a horrible weight cut in the last fight with Conor Benn, right? And we also knew that was going to be a factor as well. I wanted to see how Chris Eubank was going to deal with the weight cut. And I think it's kind of like, across this space, the consensus is he stayed there a little too long. But what do you guys think about this whole entire weight drain issue? Did that play a factor into the fight? And I'll add one on to the end of it. If it did play the factor in the fight, then how much credit can we really give Conor Benn for the victory? I mean, we give him the credit for the victory, but what does that mean as far as a litmus test is concerned for the future of Conor Benn's career?
It's all excuses, man. This all weight drain. It's all excuses. Ben Shalom's the one that started it. First of all, in the first fight, if you guys watched it, Conor Benn was putting belt to ass on him in terms of power. And the only thing that really happened there is Conor Benn got slap-gated and he lost control. So remember that the way the fight played out was 8-4 by the judges' scorecards for Chris Eubanks. But he kind of like hung on to a win rather than show us a dominant 8-4 victory. You know what I'm saying? It's like he hung on to 8-4 rather than, oh no, he definitely won 8-4 because he was so dominant. So to me, right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, the only reason why Conor Benn lost that fight is because he made a mistake. It wasn't because Chris Eubank was greater. It was because Conor Benn is so talented that instead of him using what he finally did show us, he was just trying to kill him with every punch. This time around, all that happened was the Conor Benn we were supposed to see in April versus the same Chris Eubank that we saw in April. That's why I don't want to like sit there and act like, oh no, it was different this time because Chris Eubank was drained. First of all, you had Terrence Crawford's whole team. I don't want to hear it. Secondly, your last fight was in April. You couldn't get no nutritionist or doctors to help you out with your weight. I don't want to hear it, Clay. It's all excuses, bro. He got his ass beat. Chris Eubank Jr. is Chris Eubank Jr. I'm sure he can beat a lot of different other fighters, but he's not ready for anyone in the top 10 at 160 or 168.
Where you at, Ray?
Wow.
Yeah, I completely disagree with that take. I ain't gonna lie, but go ahead, Ray. I want to hear your angle.
Cap. You just standing on your horse because you won that little argument. You know what I mean? Let's who was going to fight. But let's keep it 100, right? There's clearly, you can clearly see when the punches were thrown, they were like a 3-year-old was throwing them. They were so slow and so like awkward that you could tell that there was some type of wrong train of thought of Chris Eubank. Chris Eubank was silly even in his excuse to say that his mind wasn't into it and this and that. No, it wasn't that his mind wasn't into it. Eddie put that rehydration clause on him, and that hurt him. That hurt him bad. You can see it. You can clearly see it. The guy has moved up in weight. He complained about it the first fight. He managed to go through it. We've seen that they put him into the hospital. Then we come back and we see him do it, and he looks better. So he must have got a nutritionist because he looked better coming into this fight. It's just it looked bad when the rehydration clause came into effect, and he couldn't go over that certain limit. And it looked like he just was still hurting, like he just couldn't muster up the energy because he started off with a good pace, and then it just started declining. It was like the power cell when you're playing a video game just going down, or your battery on your phone just dying. And that's what it looked like with him. And then as soon as you give him a quick boost, which I think was the 4th round, had a good round. Then he went right back down, declining and looking slow, throwing punches. Matter of fact, he threw it. It was like somebody put this in, was it 1.5 times slow when you watch it and it just coming across. Yo, you could see that he was just not there and willing to fight. And once he realized it was crazy. Now, on the other hand, you have to give respect to Conor Benn. Because I was talking to Clay and I said, Conor Benn looked a little shaky. He looked like he didn't want to walk into danger. He came out, he was leaning over the front foot to try to lean into the jab, and he looked like he was getting out of there too quick, right? He looked a little shaky. Didn't look like he was into the fight of like he was after the second and a half or mid-second round. Once he got that full power shot from Chris Eubanks, and he realized that guy had nothing in the tank, he took full advantage of that, like a fighter should. And he went ham. He went hard as a mother, you know what I mean? And he beat the crap out of Chris Eubanks Jr., who had nothing for him. He had no power. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a good comparison. This was what Earl Spence looked like against Bud Crawford. Just drained. Shouldn't have been in the ring. He took the fight, no excuses. But it was a bad look for him. And I think that right there shows you that, yes, this weight rehydration thing was a bad idea. If they do happen to do a trilogy, it needs to be at a catchweight of 163.
No way.
Only thing I would say, but
no
trilogy, man. There's no trilogy.
If there is, because you heard them at the end of the fight, if there is, there is. But I think at this point, if there's not one, which I prefer not, like you guys, I think we just need to be like, yo, guess what? It is what it is because it's over now. You know what I mean? Like, you just got the brakes beat off you by a guy who's a welterweight. Oh, let's get to that welterweight thing, too.
No. Hey, wait. I just sent the private message. I got to go. Appreciate you guys. That was super fun. I'm going to let you guys close it. Go ahead and talk all your smack about me. All I know is I'm the master of predictions, man.
It is what it is, man.
It is what it is, y'all. Thanks, guys.
All right, brother.
No smack. We good.
You know, at the end of the day, man, and yeah, we're going to get into that too. We're about to get into that right now as well. You know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, the reality of this. Let me see how this looks here.
Oh,
yeah, that looks better. We couldn't do that before. Hold on 1 second here. Let me hold on 1 second here.
Oh yeah.
Boop, boop. Let's see what happens here if I do this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So at the end of the day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, yeah, I completely disagree. With Angelo's angle on here. You know what I'm saying? I think the weight cut played a huge role in this. And listen, last night, you know, I gave Conor Benn his flowers, and I'm giving him his flowers right now, right? He's a great listen, he really elevated his game last night. You saw the adjustments that were made, and you can see that they took the experience he had and they added to that. And I think, and I'm gonna be real with you, I do believe that this 24 rounds he had with Chris Eubank Jr. helped evolve him into his, considering that he had the layoff because of the suspension. He was kind of behind the ball a little bit. Like he came back just looking like he was just, you know, he just was a shell of himself as far as where he was. Kind of like Ryan Garcia to a degree, as far as like Ryan Garcia, I thought at the Luke Campbell fight, he was still a evolving fighter and getting better. And he just stopped, right, at Luke Campbell and never got better. And if anything, kind of looked like he got worse over the years. And, you know, Conor Benn was in that same conversation. So I think this 24 rounds he had with Chris Eubank made a big difference for him. I think it helped him to kind of get acclimated into the boxing space. Now we're going to get into the next part of the conversation, which is his next big move, and talk about what that's going to end up looking like. But I think the weight cut on this specific topic right now was significant, man. He lost on the scale. He fell short on the scale. The scale took a lot out of Chris Eubank. He played that game, and I don't care how much. I don't think Bomac brings this dude cutting the weight properly all of a sudden, or, you know what I mean, that team. That's not what that is. We're talking about the physical body of somebody and their ability to stay in a weight class that they're already cutting weight to be in. And this is boxing, right? A lot of these fighters in these weight classes are only supposed to be there for a temporary amount of time because their real weight is not that, right? They're competing there because they're building themselves up. They want to become champions. They want to get their pedigree up, and they want to get into when they finally get to their division, to be able to be, you know, big fighters, because this is prize fighting. Right? They're building their brand and building their value. But you have these fighters who hang out in these divisions just a little too long. Jerron Boots Ennis teetered on the edge of that at 147. We saw Erickson Lubin, a life, you know what I mean, career-long 154-pounder. Come on, bro. At some point, you got to move up in weight. He never did, and he looked horrible against Virgil Ortiz. You talk about Errol Spence, who hung out at 147 just a little too long and looked horrible against Terrence Crawford. And once again, keeping it real, not trying to take away from the guys who beat these guys, right? You don't want to take away from Virgil Ortiz's victory against Erickson Lubin. We don't want to take away from Terrence Crawford's victory against Errol Spence, right? We don't want to take away from none of these guys who got victories on these fighters. But if we're going to keep this conversation focused on the fighters themselves, Chris Eubank sacrificed a lot, obviously pushes his body to the limit, and just wasn't able to pull that trigger, and looked horrible in a boxing match with Conor Benn, not in a fight, in a match where the pace was actually slowed down for him. Right? Like, this is where somebody whose conditioning might be in a little bit of a question would have been happy to be like, yo, damn, bro, he's not really putting it on me like that. He's really still jabbing with me and being hesitant. This is kind of where I want him to be. I was thinking I was going to have to domesticate him with my jab, right? Make him honest with my jab. And here he is being reserved from round one. And he just wasn't able to turn that engine over. He wasn't able to pull that trigger and make it happen. And the question comes into, once again, weight cuts becoming something real diabolical in combat sports, period, because you're getting punched in your head. Pundits across the space are talking about this right now. UK Boxing News is talking about it. Shakur Stevenson tweeted on it. A lot of fighters were very upset with this whole rehydration clause, specifically that part of the agreement. Not even the 160-pound part of it, as much as the rehydration clause. Where are you at on that? How did you feel about this whole weight cut situation with Chris Eubanks?
Oh my goodness. Just think it's just terrible, man. I think it's bad for boxing, and it's starting to show. A lot of sports do it. I think I talked to you about this earlier. You got MMA, wrestling, a lot of these, whether it be Roman Greco, collegiate level, or Olympic style, whatever one you want to choose. All these guys go to make weight, and even in boxing, these guys are living their lives in classes. And these classes are starting to create problems. Now, you got some guys that may come out stronger, or their abilities may save them. You mentioned some fighters earlier, and I think we all know the biggest egg in the room would be Devin Haney, who stayed at 135 a little too long, and he was able to dominate the division because he wanted to make the big fights. And I think that one fight he should have got out of was that Loma fight, because he wanted that fight so bad. He ended up staying a fight too long. Which would really look bad on him. But, it even cost him at 140 because he outgrew that division with one fight going in. We have to look at what you just said, Clay, as this has to be real, man. These guys got to start taking this stuff for real. It's a life. You got meninges in your brain and things like that can be damaged. The layers between your brain can cause problems.
Yeah, look at what happened with Virgil.
Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. Virgil almost damn near died, Baker 147 after coming up from 140 because you know what I mean? So there's a lot going on there if you're not doing it the healthy and right way. As far as all this going on, man, you just gotta it's not worth it. You know what I mean? The toll wasn't worth it. I mean, I guess people are fighting for money. And
he got 10 million. That's another part of it, right?
Money is starting to be more of a value over your life, but if you die in that ring, what is the money worth? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A new car, you know what I mean? Expensive, a new fur ring robe, you know what I mean? Give him 50 cents, a couple dollars to walk you down the mat. Come on, man. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I don't know. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe for them it is worth it because ultimately he's got twins on the way. He's got a family. These fighters all have families, bro. And is it worth it to risk your life? Like, if he did die, would he regret the death, being that his family's taken care of? You know what I mean?
Right.
For generations to come potentially, right? Because 20 million is not the end all be all, but that's a good amount of money to be sitting on. I guess I'm combining what he made on both fights and then combining that whatever he did in his career before that. So, right. So there's an argument there to say that he's worth somewhere close to give or take $30 million. And that's a lot of money to make. And prize fighting is the name of the game, but whose responsibility is, there's an argument there that I'm sure Chris Eubank Sr. would make to say that, that's why the sanctioning bodies are there. That's why the athletic commissions are present, that they're supposed to regulate these things and not allow these things to move forward, even though a fighter would want to compromise their own health because they're thinking about that bigger picture. But does the athletic commission and the sanctioning bodies take any responsibility on themselves to be responsible to protect these fighters as well? Because they don't want their organization and their sport to start looking like a savage sport to where they're just allowing people to die, right? What do you feel about that?
Exactly. Sanctions money is about the money anyway. So do they really care? The commissions need to be more worried about it than the sanctioning bodies. Sanctioning bodies should actually run. They should start creating more hydration rules and things like that, like the IBF. And though they say they have them in place, a lot of them don't, and they're still working on them if they do, or trying to make it happen. Again, these things that are dangerous and things that are being considered okay are fail safes, and these fail safes are going to eventually it's going to cost somebody their life because of this. And we already seen a fighter get knocked out moving up from 140 to fight the bigger fighter, and probably came in a little lightweight because he probably he fought a couple fights there, and he probably didn't have the strength and the ability to withstand a punch. Head bounced off the mat in Jin Sasaki. A lot of these things happen, Clay, and we're lucky because even with the second punch, I remember I told you the second knockdown, he was going down anyway, but he went to grab on, but he got rabbit punch. Now, imagine if Conor Benn hit him hard enough in the back of his head. You know what I mean? He just hit him. He basically just hit him off him. You know what I mean? It wasn't really like I'm going to knock you out type point. It was more of like, yeah, I'm just going to hit you off me because you happen just to turn there, and this is what's happening. Can you imagine if he really tried to take like a hard overhand right and just punch down on him? Why his head was like that, bro? We sending black flowers. Everybody be dressed in black today, saying this. You know what I mean? Because of that, and if not, he would have been seriously injured, probably with some brain damage. Because that was significant. So we have to be understanding that these things in boxing have to be clear, even with the sanction and the commissions of the sport. Even Turkey Al-Sheikh, and I don't think it was so much of him. I don't put it on the promoter so much or the people that managed the fight, but they also have to be aware of these things and going forward. And seeing a contest like this should tell everybody, bro, there's something wrong here. We need to fix this problem. So hopefully they get it together and they fix this, and this is not a continuation. I mean, you heard Conor Benn at the end of the fight, his team talking about he's going down to 147. Bro, he made 160 easy, and he was full and muscular, in shape, and he grew weight after the weigh-in. You know what I mean? For the fight, he came in a little heavier. So a lot of that to be said, Clay, is that he's definitely not a 147-pound fighter. He's going to be in the same boat as everybody else that fights underweight and drain. The guy needs to stay at 154 or stay at 160. I mean, move to 154 or stay at 160. I don't think he needs to go down to 147. I think it'd be too dangerous. Way too dangerous.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, we can segue into that conversation as well then at this point, you know what I'm saying? Because here we are watching Eubanks stay at 160 too long and show the performance he did. A lot of people are looking at Conor Benn's performance right now against Chris Eubank, and they're just excited. They think that this new version of Conor Benn, this Conor Benn 2.0, this elevated, evolved Conor Benn, more tenured Conor Benn, is going to, bring high performances as he's anticipating a move down to 147. He has dreams and aspirations of fighting for that 147 pound WBC title. He wants to get the same title his father has, and he put that whole division pretty much on notice, right? He said Devin, Brian Norman. He said any one of those Yanks can get it every day of the week and twice on Sunday, I believe is what he quoted.
Yep, exactly.
And that sounds fun. That sounds interesting. And I think as a boxing fan, we can get behind the Conor Benn that was fighting against Chris Eubank, fighting any one of those fighters, right? But the question is, are we going to get that same Conor Benn that we saw against Chris Eubanks against those fighters at 147? This guy has to cut a lot of weight to get down to 147. I mean, you pretty much shared your opinion on your feel free to elaborate and add to it. But at the end of the day, man, are we getting ready to see another Chris Eubank 2.0 and Conor Benn going down to 147, just being a depleted fighter, a punchy fighter, a fighter who doesn't have that punch resistance to deal with what's really going down at 147? Or is 147 just kind of like perfect for him right now, being that there's no real killers there? I mean, you got good boxers there, but Brian Norman probably one of the bigger puncher there. But what do you think about that? Yeah, I mean, you shared it, but add to it as far as are we going to receive that again?
Right. So let's look at the Pete Dobson, the Rozo fight. Those are both like catchweight fights. One was at 150, one was at 154. After fighting at 147 and getting suspended. We figured that was the case. And that's another thing. He put on weight because he was suspended. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was out of the ring, so he was living his life. I'm pretty sure he was still training and stuff, but you can only do so much when you're suspended. You know what I mean? You're not allowed in a lot of gyms. You're not allowed to train like a certain thing. But he's a boxer. He has to do something to stay in shape. But with that staying in shape, you got to figure this guy put on weight, walk around weight. Maybe stayed solid. His body grows accustomed to certain things until he got back in the ring. Obviously, we've seen it, the 154 to the 150 fight. But Pete Dobson was supposed to be a welterweight fight. And you can see he looked sluggish in both of those fights. He didn't look like Conor Benn that we seen last night. He looked like the Conor Benn that we saw 3 fights ago before Eggate, that he was a ferocious 147-pounder. So with that being said, does he move back down and we see a sluggish, unable to tap in type Conor Benn? or do we see the Conor Benn we've seen last night, which I highly disagree that we will see that. I think that we'll see the same guy we seen fight Pete Dobson at 150. I think it'll be a challenge. I think we'll see him go to distance. I think we'll see him lack of power. I think all those things. And I think he will look like Chris Eubanks. It's not enough training in the world to do so. Remember, he's getting older, and with age, the weight is harder to come off. The weight is harder to maintain. The strength is lost with weight cuts. So with that being said, I think that's where we end up, Clay, and I'm going to lay my plane right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think listen, man, at the end of the day, the fighter, that's a grown man. He has a team around him. I'm sure they're way more, they understand the stakes that are there. If the weight cut is bad, so if they're going to go down there, then, they've obviously waited out and they feel like it's going to be that, but it does seem like that's going to be the next conversation. That's definitely the magnifying glass I'm going to put on it when the fight gets announced, whatever he decides to do at 147. I'm definitely going to be looking at that weight cut to see how he's acclimating to the division at 147. I think 154 makes more sense to me as well. I think that's where he should go. Shout out to Blaze Pound for Pound TV talking. He said that he thinks 147, 154 may be the right move for him, being that he clearly looked like the undersized guy at 160. Yeah, he did look it to a certain degree, but for whatever it's worth, he hit the scale at 3 pounds heavier than Chris Eubanks, right? And he didn't look fat. He looked muscled up, man. So what I'm saying, he's built up a lot of muscle. Muscle is harder to get up out of here than fat,
right?
You know what I mean? So there's a question there to say, all right, well, maybe that's, has Conor Benn lost touch of himself physically, of who he really is? A question would be asked to Conor Benn, when was the last time you cut weight to go down to 147? Have you been doing like mock cuts? Because the last time you were at 147 was like 2022, right? Or something like that. So it's like, bro, has your body changed and you're not keeping up with it? I just hope that they're honest about it, right? I hope that I hope that they know they can make the 147 before they commit to making the 147. Because I know once they commit to making it, they're gonna make it one way or the other, right? But you're going down there against some decent punchers. Rolly Romero's a decent puncher. Gia Salvador is a decent puncher. Listen, man, Blair Norman is the best puncher in the division. He's just a heavy puncher. Listen, Devin Haney's probably not necessarily punching as soft as he was when he was at 140, 135. There are guys on there who could take advantage of a punchy Conor Benn. I'm just kind of wondering what his next move is going to be. Yeah, Tiger Johnson is punching right now. You got fighters up there who are willing to punch you upside your head, bro, and really test your grit. Like, you know what I mean? Really test that grit. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens with Conor Benn next. Chris Eubank, I think we spoke about a little bit about where he goes next from here. What are you guys thinking about that? And I kind of agree with Angelo on there. I do agree with Angelo. I think he's just not going to beat any top 10 160 pounders. I don't know any of them because 160 is not really jumping like that. But yeah, I think a lot of guys could give him some issues. But also, more importantly, I think at 168, I don't see him dealing with a lot of those guys up there at 168.
No,
he's made his money. They say prize fighters are out there trying to make the biggest amount of money as they can. It looks like that's what he did. Does Chris Eubank Jr. retire after this, or do you see him making a move to potentially fight another fight? And another question on the table also is, does he want to go out the way he did, right? Do you think he might want to do at least one more fight for some sort of redemption for that last performance to not be the performance that the world remembers him having, and also maybe showing the world without telling the world, like, yeah, bro, it was a weight cut issue. Really, I'm way better than that, and let me show you in another fight? Or does he just retire and walk up into the sunset with his money as is?
If he's going to be a dad, it'd be a good time to get out the arena. And if not, just take a hiatus, then move to 168, and maybe you come back, you're a little better, a little stronger, even possibly 175, especially if you have weight issues at 160 like that. Maybe that's a better move for you. Maybe you're a little bit more stronger. Maybe you can bounce a little bit, celebrate the last loss with a good fight with Ben Whitaker, a rising star, somebody you can probably fight at light heavyweight, even a catch weight between 168 and 175. That'd be a good matchup in my opinion. I think that's something that he can do, even if win, lose, or draw. Be a nice payday for England. I think the guys would love to see him pass the torch along. In that sense, Clay. And it gives him that, like you said, it gives him that payday. But I think he just needs to really sit back, relax, take a long thought of it, what he needs to do. To me, the way he was talking sounds like it's over. At the end of that fight. So I mean, that's where I think he goes. I think it's done. But if he decides to do something, he fought 1 or 2 fights at 168. So prior to this, I think he's done, man. I think no more.
I think he should be done. Whether he is done or not, I think I'll be honest with you, I think he does one more fight. I think he does. I think he fights one more fight, maybe at 168, maybe something. I don't know. I just have a feeling that he doesn't want to go out the way he did, the way he looked. I think he doesn't want to go out that way. But it's going to be a money fight if he does take it. I think he should retire, though, and not even fight one more fight. I think he should walk over to the sunset with his money and just fall back off of the whole situation, right? That's what I believe it is. It is what it is. We'll see what he does, man. We talked about a lot of topics today. I put a link right there in the chat. If anybody wants to come up, touch base on any of the topics, give some opinions on what we saw last night, there is the link. Ray, hold it down for me for 1 second, bro, as I'm about to run over to the bathroom real quick, and I'll be right back, bro.
Word. So anyway, yeah, man. I mean, it was just a great weekend in boxing, and then now we got this other week coming up. We're going to see some great boxing this week. Regardless, win, lose, or draw, we're going to see the competitiveness of this week's boxing. We're going to see what happens this week. All answers will happen. I love this week of boxing, this month of boxing, just to say the least. I think it's been a great month thus far. And now we're coming into the end of the month, and we're getting to that main card that we were waiting for since it was announced in August. And I know me personally, I can't wait. I know my brother Fly Frequency in the chat, I believe he can't wait. And I know a lot of y'all, Bruce Gas, etc. Salute to Bruce Gas, Blaze in the building. I know Curtis, you know what I mean? Shout out to you. I know you guys can't wait for this upcoming week in this fight that we've been anticipating so long. So that's just moving forward. But as far as what just happened last week in this recap, great fights, both cards, pretty good fights, much value to it. Sport looks like it's bouncing back. If I have to say, man, it is what it is. Yes, Pro Box card on Friday as well. Yes, that was another banger. And then you figure the one that we had 2 weeks ago with Flods and Tiger Johnson was a great card. And look what happened. You know what I mean? Flods was supposed to be that veteran, that guy that was supposed to be untouchable and strong. And they were both undefeated. And look what happened. You know what I mean? So nothing's predictable in boxing, as we know, because me and Clay got it wrong twice on this card coming up this week. So nothing's predictable. Anything can happen. Just as long as you believe in the sport, you ain't got to change who you are. You know what I mean? So you ain't got to be a boxing fan, not a fan of a person. Support the boxers, but you ain't got to be a fan of the boxers. And if you do, minimize that standard to where boxing comes first.
Yeah, big fights coming up this week for sure. Yeah, Pro Box does have a card coming up, man. 147 is coming together. You know what I mean? There's some fighters up in there who's bringing it. Tiger Johnson, definitely one of them. I see R. Stokes put Tiger Johnson in there. By the way, if I haven't reminded you guys, however many people in the building, hit that like button before you forget as you step into the building. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take an opportunity to go ahead and do that. Like I said, I did put the link in there. If anybody feels like hitting the link, it's there. You know what I mean? For sure. But I understand if you don't want to. I think we covered a lot tonight, you know what I'm saying? As far as everything going on in the space, big things to walk away with. Rafael Espinosa, barbecue mildew time, man. It's either unify, get involved in some decent fights at 126, or get the hell up out of the division. I think he's kind of taking advantage of the landscape right now. And I don't look, to be honest with you, it looked like that event last night in Mexico, nobody was really there. Like, it was nowhere near packed. It was very empty, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So you're not even building a fan base up, putting these fights together. Beating on Arnold Kakai didn't sell it last night. It was just like an easy fight. It just didn't make any sense. Emiliano Vargas, time to step him up, put him into some contender status, give him a test. It doesn't have to be the end all be all, but it's time to step him up. Or is it not time to step him up? I don't know how they felt about his performance. I thought he, won every round damn near in that fight. Like, he might have, the guy might have had, won 2-3 rounds max, 2 to 3 rounds. Right. I don't even think it was that much. Maybe 2 rounds because it was only a 10-round fight. but he did well. Conditioning looked good. IQ looked good. Punch selection and the combinations he chose to send out there looked good. Worked the body, a lot of poise, a lot of patience, a lot of power still. Very dangerous fighter. I'm ready to see him step it up a little bit. Future of the heavyweight division in Richard Torres, or get him out of here as well. Pack him up and send him to Bridgerweight. Figure something out with him.
Even cruiserweight.
You can't keep having him.
One or the other. I think Bridgerweight's better. Less fighters, but hey. Get him there, man.
Maybe, but development too, right? You can develop him in Bridgerweight and bring him back to heavyweight
again.
Right.
Back to heavyweight, it'd be a little bit better because he'll have some competition.
Right. 100%, man. So a lot of options there for him. Adam Azim looking like, we're promising for 140, bro. Right? Very promising.
That kid is good, bro. I'm sorry I underestimated him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I just thought that he was going to be a little too slick, but he wasn't. He stayed on the jab. He did everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah, I didn't underestimate him. I knew he was good, bro. I was kind of real. More than anything, I was disappointed in Kurt Scobie as far as like he could have tested him better. But Adam Azim definitely looked real good that night. But there's a
damn knife, bro.
There's a part of me that kind of feels like we would have seen him be even better if Kurt Scobie would have competed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Bro, he probably would have stopped him in like the 5th round.
Right. He would have looked better. He would have been challenged. It would have been a better victory for him, right? He'd have been challenged. He would have stepped up to the challenge, and it would have been a better litmus test about who he was. But I mean, it is what it is. Like at the same time, giving him his props for what he did, and I think it's time to obviously step him up as well.
Right.
Hold on. I think Trini BX is in the background here. Hold on one second. Trini, what's good, family?
What's up, Clay? How you doing, man?
We doing good, man. We up here holding it down, man. How you doing, man?
I'm okay, man. Back to work, back to the grind. Salute to my guy on the panel.
What up?
Ray Davis, man, for sure.
Ray Davis, yes, sir.
The infamous Ray Davis.
The infamous. Put some respect on that name.
Oh, Clay, no, they know me, man. Listen. I can't even go to channels no more, man, because I'm so. It's that Rob.
That's a good thing sometimes, man. We need that.
But I stay away, man, because there's just no competition out there for me. You know what I mean? Like I don't even want to debate no more, man.
Shut him down. Shut him down, Ray.
No doubt. How'd you feel about last night?
Yeah, great cards, man. Thanks for calling. Thanks for holding that down, man. That was
no doubt.
Dope,
appreciate
man.
You coming through and holding it down as well, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, kind of Benn, man. Surprised the shit out of me. I don't understand the going to 147 like you were saying, man. It's a big money fight for Boots there, man. That's a stadium fight. You think Hearns is maybe separating him till he figures out who he's cashing out?
Yeah. I think he's separating, but I think he also knows better.
Right. I'm glad you said that. I'm really going to tap in because when they was at 147, they were trying to move kind of Benn into a position to fight what WBC? What's his name again? I don't know why I be forgetting people. Mario Barrios, thank you. And he was trying to move in position for that fight. And I think they ended up getting away from that because I think if he got in that position, which we all thought if that happened, they was going to have him and Boots fight. Bro, he knows to keep Boots away from Conor Benn away from Boots. That's why that never happened. Because that was an easy fight to make when they were there. He could have made all that happen before all that second Karen Kukashan fight happened, all that. But they chose not to due to the fact that that's his guy. That's his European British guy. He ain't gonna let that dude take that loss like that. So
but that's a good fight at 154. You don't think? Him rushing in, seeing how Boots handle that?
He's not going to
Boots will devastate him.
He's not going to put Conor Benn in there with Boots.
Bro. Boots will devastate him, bro. Boots. That would be a surprising. If that fight was competitive and just a great fight, I'd be surprised. I think Boots would run through him. I think it would look very similar to Usman Lima. I think he would get clipped very early.
Yep.
And he wouldn't be the same. He'd be on Bambi legs, and Boots would just clean him up. I think it would look bad for him. Yeah, not a good look. Not a good look. He needs to stay away from Boots. Don't fight Boots, whatever you do. But I think it is a conundrum, though, right? Because if you send him down there to 154, he's a big enough star now to where I agree it would be a big fight, though.
Shit.
It would be a huge fight. It would get a lot of attention, but not good for Conor, though. Great for Boots.
What do you say? Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He would devastate him. You think? I mean, that's the whole thing about it, though, right? As far as a lot of people are feeling more excited about Conor Benn and more confident in Conor Benn because of the performance he had against Chris Eubank last night, right? But the question is, who did he fight last night? Did he fight Chris Eubanks, or did he fight a dude who's wearing Chris Eubank clothes and had Chris Eubank skin on him and had a Chris Eubank mask on his face? But was that Chris Eubank last night? How did you feel about Chris Eubank's performance last night against Conor Benn? Trini, you there? Oh, Trini tapped out a little bit. He's muted.
Maybe.
I don't know. Trini, you there? Mic check.
Might have lost him for a second. I'm telling you, this hold on a second.
I see Chris saying, "Yes, we hear you, bro. Yes, we hear you, bro."
Yeah. It
was Trini, right? It was his connection.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, the stream. What is this thing? Restream.
Yeah. But he's not. He's just not here no more. Maybe that's what it is. Is that what it is,
bro? I'm telling you, kick me out like every time, bro. But it's not all the time. But like every time.
Right. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm actually looking at. I actually have a whole nother thing I'm looking at that Ness had put me on to that I'm probably gonna try some more professional one. So we'll see if that's what it is. Hold on a second here. I think Trini's back. Hold on. What's good, Trini? You there?
Yeah, my fault, Trey. I gotta remember to turn off my alarm. You know what I mean? I got that little 20-minute warning of get ready for work and shit. So whenever it cuts off, like I could hear you, but I can't. Like it knocks off the screen.
Yeah, I know how that goes. I know how that goes.
Yeah, let me ask you this though: if you think, like, if Conor would have had the edge, you think he would have made the fight? I mean, be more towards making the fight.
Yeah.
He's a fighter, of course.
Yeah.
And a big UK
I think if you
stadium
put
fight.
on the table, Conor takes a fight. I think if Eddie approaches,
Conor takes the fight.
What about Boots?
I see Conor taking it. I see it being an interesting fight because he's gonna rush in. Just you know, what I mean, I see it. You know,
he's gonna rush in.
I would like it for a belt. Yeah. But yeah, you know what? I just want to see Boots in there with somebody at 154, man. I think it's time. You know.
Yeah, I think 2026 is the year we see Boots. Boots is going to have a signature fight. 22, probably more than one signature fight.
Right.
Yeah, because 154 is like whoever you pick. It's a tough fight. It's a watchable fight. You know what I mean? That's how stacked that division is. And I'm curious to see. I'm sorry.
I said everybody but Keith Thurman.
Oh yeah. Those I would I want Fedora, Fedora do his thing and we see what happened there.
I mean, even Keith Thurman, I would watch it.
I mean, he could be a player if he's for some reason disposes of Fedora, he's back in.
Yeah, but there's the thing. Keith Thurman already admitted that he was scared of Boots Ennis when he tried to act like he didn't know who he was. Talking about he couldn't hold his jock strap and all that. And who was he? You know what I mean? Tried to play it off. And he knew who he was because everybody knew who Boots was at that time, and he fought on the same network. He didn't fight on the same with the same company, but he was on a lot of those cards. So Keith Thurman knew who he was, and Keith Thurman was avoiding him. And when he said, "Well, fight me," then he goes, "Why would I fight you?" You know what I mean? Who are you? Who are you? Yeah, you ain't gonna make a name off of me. I'm not your gatekeeper. You remember all that? So Keith Thurman don't want no part of Boots, bro. He don't.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Boots is still is the boogeyman at 154. And people try to paint it like it's not that, but that's what it is. He's the boogeyman. He's the only guy not scared to fight Boots for real is probably Virgil and Bachram, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I think everybody could fight him.
I think Zaya could fight him.
I mean, there's fighters that are fighting, but I'm talking about the champions and the fights he's trying to make. They're gonna move. They're gonna move around him. I think Xander would fight him too, but I don't think Top Rank would allow Xander to do it. You know what I mean? So. He's gonna have to weather the storm and move accordingly. You know what I mean? 147 kind of all over again, but this time at least he has some legitimate representation. He has some good money behind him, so he has a better argument to these fights being made. But it's still gonna be an uphill battle for him, man, because he's that kind of a fighter. Everybody knows what they're dealing with when they look at Boots, bro. Like Virgil's team. Virgil's team knows. Virgil ain't scared to take the fight, but his team knows, bro. They'd rather not. Period. They just rather not.
I think too it's both teams. Both teams. Those guys want to fight each other. It's both teams. I think the whole showing up there was an act, man. And Hearn knows how he would move Ortiz, so he knows how De La Hoya is gonna move him. He should invest. Boots should invest. I said it before on street strength conditioning and figure out if you're such a phenom, handle that 10 pounds. I don't like the excuse for fighting backroom. I phenom shouldn't have that excuse. That's the one thing that's got me like. And then when he mentioned that he didn't watch the Canelo Crawford fight, it kind of threw me off too. But I'm interested to see how 168 shakes up when Crawford dropped those belts. There's a lot of young talent up there that's going to battle for those belts, man. And Billy fighting him and Gui.
Yeah, your connection is bad, man. Is it me or?
No, I hear it too. It's a little, but I can't understand. I can make out what he's saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see what I can do here.
Yeah, I think it's just it was a bad connection or something. But yeah, man. We'll see what they do, right? Conor Benn's next move is going to be interesting to watch. They're pushing for 147. That's what they want to happen.
Right.
I would think they want to gradually do it because you want to keep him active, but then again, you don't have to keep him real active. He just made 20 million. You know what I mean? So, he could probably take off the next year and be okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He could take off for the next year and a half and come back. And he's young. He's not old.
Who's that?
Conor
Benn.
Conor Benn.
Oh, yeah. He can definitely take off. He can go relax for a while. He dropped again.
Yeah. He had a bad connection.
Yeah, he can drop. He can go relax for probably the rest of the year. Maybe come back end of next year, September-ish, and be okay. Enjoy himself a little bit because he put himself through a lot too. Especially if he's trying to lose that weight and he needs to do it naturally. He needs a long layoff.
Right.
There's no way he's going to be able to melt down to 147 and be okay without taking some time off. He'll hurt himself, man. He'll get in that ring, get clipped, knocked out.
Yeah, I agree. But it is what it is. I think it's about that time to wrap it up.
It is, Clay.
You know what I mean?
Gotta go finish my games. Gotta talk shit to Angelo for cut. You heard him, Clay, on the channel. He was like, Ray, you're going to be cut this week. Nope. I said, you watch. And I make some moves for you.
No doubt. Hey, man, salute to everybody who stepped into the building today for the recap and for us to talking all this boxing, man. Guys, remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that, man. Until the next one, we're going into fight week. By the way, I'm gonna make an announcement on the schedule. It's gonna be Tuesday and Thursday. That I'm gonna do a show. I'm trying to think if it's gonna be early or
I work at night.
I think it's gonna be 3 o'clock still. I think 3 o'clock is the time I'm gonna choose because so it's just gonna be on Tuesday and Thursday.
Right.
I think it's gonna be 3 o'clock.
I would tell you, hey, let's do it in the morning because we got people out here trying to clown.
Nah, but not me. I work at
I work
at night.
You know what? I enjoy the afternoon show, man.
Yeah, because I'll be asleep. I ain't playing that game with y'all, bro. You're not finna. I come in about like 5 in the morning, so I'm going in. I'm out of here, bro. I'm not getting up until like.
I get home. Take my son to work. Take the other one to school. Pick him up early. Pick the other one up after, man.
Yeah, nah, not me.
But we'll be all right. I get my grind.
Everything in above, but yeah. So I think it's gonna be 3 o'clock Tuesdays and Thursdays. Are gonna be the show. And of course Saturday covering the fights and doing a show on Saturday, and potentially the fights are worth it. The recaps on Sunday, so we'll be on about three times minimum week, 4 times. You know what I'm saying? On a good week, and we'll be more consistent with the content and keeping that flowing and keeping that going the right way. This is going to be a big fight week this week. Obviously, it's grand arrivals. We got weigh-ins going on this week. We got final press conferences going. We got media workouts, interviews. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. This is probably the card of the year that everybody's been waiting on. I don't know if there's been a card. Wait, yo, answer. I don't know if there's going to be a card. There's going to be a card more. A card more interesting than that card. So we'll get into that later on into the week. Let's see how everybody's looking. I can't wait to see Devin Haney on the scales, on the scales.
I gotta see the face off, bro.
I want to see him at the face. So I just want to see what he looks like and how he's feeling. I want to see Brian Norman in the big lights. You know what I'm saying? I want to see the production around this event on next Saturday, bro. I just can't wait.
And it's crazy that fight is taking over, bro. Like,
it ain't crazy to me. I think that's a fight that
should have been the main fight.
Right. You know what it was? I think, I think that the overall consensus was that in the beginning it was going to be Devin against Tio, and so because now it's Devin and Brian, it's kind of like they feel like it went like this.
Yeah,
because
it went like this.
But I think it went like this.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think they're bugging. I think they didn't really look at it for what it was, and I bet you they're feeling some kind of way about it a little bit as well, right?
Yeah, it's generated
in the main event.
And did you see the little punching on the bag? Devin doing the Benavides on the bag.
Yeah.
Yo.
Hold on. Let me let Too Rich come up here, man. Too Rich.
Oh,
Too Rich? Brother. I gotta let Too Rich come up here if it's Too Rich, bro.
I ain't seen Too Rich in a minute, man.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Clay and Ray?
Doing good, brother. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. I know y'all about to get out of here, man. I was trying to catch y'all before y'all got out of here.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt, man. For sure, man. Definitely looking forward to hearing some of your
takes. Hear me?
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he dropped. You can hear that static. Like he's coming.
Yeah, it got static and got weird. It did get weird. I'm telling you, I don't know if it's just the channel or this restream, bro. I'm telling you, because it kicked me off like twice. But you've never been actually kicked off,
huh? Oh, I don't.
You've been put in the back, but he was actually. I think that's him. I think he had a bad connection, but we gotta find out right now. Yeah, Too Rich, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Was that you? Just bad connection?
Yeah, I don't know. It kicked me out for some reason. I don't know what happened.
Oh man, I don't know. I hope it ain't. Let me see. Well, let's hope we're good here, man. But what's good with your family, man? I seen you doing your thing over on your channel, man. Doing a lot of these breakdowns, man. You kind of doing your thing over there, man. Oh shit!
Did it again. Clay, you kicking him out, man?
Nah, bro, that's crazy. If that's the case, if it's really the case, and that's what's going on, that's a whole nother conversation, right? I don't know, bro. That's weird.
My brother, Too Rich, man. I respect the belts.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. I don't know. We might have to just, take a rain check on Too Rich, right? He might just give it up at this point. Let me see if he put something in the chat. Like, shout out to Rhino St. promoting spot. Yeah, man, no doubt, Blaze, no doubt for sure, man. But yeah, man, that fight is definitely stealing the show, bro. It's stealing the show, and it should be stealing the show. I think it's the best fight on that card. I think it's the best.
That might be that could be one of the best fights of the year because the reason why I'm gonna tell you that, Clay, even with Terrence and Canelo building up their fight, that fight was being talked about. They were talking about that Devin Haney Brian Norman fight during that time. This fight has been talked about since March or April of 2025. There you go.
Rich, is that me? Is that this platform, or are you a bad connection?
You back. Too Rich, you back. He might be on mute.
No, he's not on mute. I think it's just a bad connection. Maybe it's Restream. Maybe Restream is just not working well with some devices or something like that, because I don't even see him on.
Hold on, did he come? Hold on.
No.
Now he didn't disappear. He didn't drop off.
No, but his screen is just black now. I'm just gonna go ahead. He didn't just get off right now. I just took him off, but I don't even see a volume. But like the way it's set up, it doesn't even look like he's really on the channel anymore. Let me see here. Yeah, he just left now. I don't know, bro. Right. I might have to go back to StreamYard, bro. If that's gonna be the case, I don't know, bro. I got another. Like I said, there's another platform I'm looking at here. That Ness uses. It's like I said, it's a platform that I would have to put on my Mac, which I ain't got no problem doing. It's supposed to be like, I mean, he never has any issues, so it might be about that time.
And you get the phone calls, y'all.
Might be outgrowing Restream, bro. Yeah, Too Rich. I don't know, bro. It's kind of weird, bro. I don't know, man. My bad, man. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know why it's doing that, but they definitely probably not going to get renewed. I'm probably going to move on from these guys shortly. I'm definitely looking for a solution. I'm not going to continue to just deal with technical issues with these platforms. I just think that with the StreamYards and the Restreams, I might be outgrowing that platform.
Back to old school, the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the original?
StreamYard?
No, the original. You don't know what that is?
Nah, what is it?
Straight up Zoom, man.
Oh, word. Zoom is an option for sure. Zoom is definitely an option. You know what I mean?
Go with the regular party room, man. Zoom might work.
Yeah. But yeah, big fights from that card this week. We're going to be talking about Anthony Yardy and David Benavidez. Big test for David Benavidez. I think it's this is one of those fights that I'm definitely favoring David Benavidez to win 100%, right? But I think Anthony Yardy can test him in a way. We might even see David Benavidez pockets touch the ground for the first time in a while. You know what I mean? He might run into some real adversity here with Anthony Yardy.
I think he might get. You know what I'm thinking? Either Devin gonna lose or Benavidez gonna lose, or like it's gonna be an upset. I think Devin would be not really the upset to me. I think he's the favorite going in because of experience. You know, I'm looking at it as experience. But if Brian Norman wins, man, I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna give him his flowers, bro. I'm gonna be like, yo, man, you deserved it. But it depends how he wins. You know what I mean? If he goes in there and knocks him out, I'm gonna tell him check his snack card, bro. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, listen, a big test for him. I think a big test for Abdullah Mason. He's jumping. You know, it's so hilarious, man. He's jumping right from like 8-round fights into 12-round fights. Did he fight a 10-round fight?
Who's that?
Abdullah Mason.
No.
He just kind of got moved a little fast,
he
right?
never won 10 rounds, bro.
Huh?
The most he ever went was like 6 or 7 rounds, 8 rounds, I think.
Yeah, but I'm trying to see, was he even scheduled in his last fight?
Yeah, his last 2 fights was 10 rounds.
Yeah, his last 2 fights were 10-round fights. Yeah, but he didn't make it. He hasn't been past 6 rounds.
Oh, was it 6? I thought it was 8. But okay, 6 rounds.
Nah, bro. He has not been past 6 rounds. You know what I mean? He has not been past 6 rounds. So this is going to be a big jump for him.
That's why Sam Noakes is going to be a problem for him, bro.
Well, that's if Sam Noakes can get him there, right?
He's acknowledging that, Clay. He said, yo, this guy's a good fighter, and he can punch. He can put me in a bad situation. I'm glad he acknowledged that. That's another possibility.
Oh, yeah. I mean, him acknowledging that is one thing. And obviously, listen, man, he didn't have to acknowledge it. If he didn't want to acknowledge it, that'd be his own delusion for not entertaining the fact that if this fight goes into that direction, it's going to be a new place for him. But I also believe that the fight has to go there for him to get that experience. He's one of those fighters who I just wish he got a full 10 rounder in, like just like Emiliano Vargas got a 10 rounder in. I wish he got one in, like, you know, like they matched made him with somebody who could take him there. And this just seems like a big leap from his last fight, right? From the last fight he had to this fight, it just seems like he went like, bro, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for him, and of course Bam as well, man.
Oh yeah, and that's the start of the card, bro. It's a good card. It's all champions, bro. All belts on
all headliners, bro. All headliners in their own right. Even Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes is probably the most not headliner card fight on the card, and you know, that's a real stylistically great fight.
I think that's actually a bigger fight than a lot of these. I think that's just as big as the Benavidez.
And Abdullah gets an opportunity to be on this big stage, man. He gets a stoppage, becomes a champion, man. He might be an overnight star. He might legitimately be like take the place of Tank and a lot of other people.
You heard he ain't interested in him. He said he just want to fight.
Yeah, but that's what we want to hear him say, man. That's the right thing to be saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Fans like us.
He's saying the right stuff.
Yep. So it is what it is, man. We're going into this next one. Tuesday we'll be back at it again. Be up here breaking down what's going on during the week, and of course, be here on Saturday to call the fights, man. But on that one, I don't know if you want to land it or say anything.
Nah, I ain't got nothing.
All right, man. At this point, it's that ATP Combat Media Show, bro. Shout out, man. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it until the next one. At this point, we out.
Yeah.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this, go up. You know it's all net when it go up.